Dulcie.
Peace and love, everyone. It's Dulcinea.
Oh, hey y'all, Daughters of the Sea here.
Peace and love. It is Wednesday, hump day. This is Sister Freedom, Big Mama in the house. Dulcie, take over.
And tonight, as you guys can see, we have Darvis the Moor with us. Peace, peace, Darvis. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Peace to the gods, peace to the goddesses, peace to the panel, peace to the chat.
And just to let you know, Niche will be here. She just gonna be a little late. Let's say that.
Yes.
Peace
So
to
we'll
her
start
too.
it off more interview style for you, Darvis. I want to know, where did you start off in consciousness? Did you start off as a Moor, or did you start off in a Hebrew Israelite camp, or explain that as far as how you came to be in the consciousness sector?
All right, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and get a quick rundown who Darvis is. Now, I was born Darvis Baylock. Before I dealt with the Moorish thing, before I corrected my status and changed my name and all that. But it is what it is. I started off in New York. I was born in New York. I came down here when I'm like, I think in third grade or second grade, some shit like that, around that time, right? Elementary. My grandma came down here a little before I was born. She was up north too. My aunt and I got three aunts and an uncle that was up north. So my mom used to go up north on the weekends. Matter of fact, hold on.
We can't hear you, Darvis.
I know I'm getting a phone call. Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Well, he said, hold on, y'all. So until he comes right back, peace to the family. What's up, you guys? Hi, Joe. How you doing? Lucchini, Kahi, Rudy. Who else we got in here? Sakina, Juice,
Hey, sis.
Noble Jaleel. I hope it. Michael. Welcome, you guys. Make sure y'all hit the like button, please. Do not forget to do that.
Y'all for coming Wednesday.
We're going to go a little easy on Mr. Darvis tonight. He's a little nervous. Y'all. He's scared.
He's scared. Oh,
but he
went out, but he'll pop back in.
Yeah, he'll come back.
He wanted to tell us about himself.
He's going to have to get it together with that. So, yeah, he was nice enough. Right, Dulcie? Finally agreed to come on and chop it up,
Right. And I know people are saying he's teaching tonight, which, it's a little mixture. Maybe him teaching. It may end up like an intervention. Who knows? He's Darvis.
Yeah, so tonight should be interesting. Hey, Neon B, how you doing, sis? What's been
Hi,
going
Nick
on?
the artist. Champions first. Focus mind. What's up?
I don't know if the chief.
Where in the world did Darvis drop down to?
I don't know, but he got a.
Here we go with Darvis, y'all. Here we go.
Starting already. Dulcie told him you getting scared already. Come on back in.
Already. He running, y'all.
He running. He had a phone call. Hope it wasn't an emergency or anything. Ariana. Hi, honey. Hey, Juice.
Peace, Ariana Nicole.
That's my niece's name. That's why I like her name. Ooh, I hope she don't act like my niece though. My niece is, they call her beat down. Oof.
Come on, Darvis.
Hey, Temples. Copper.
Hi, Copper Draco. What's up?
Yes. He said that's OTK calling him. I've been calling OTK all day. It better not be him calling him. Who's
Dulcie, you
Dulcie
calling him?
call?
She's probably trying to call
She
him.
probably calling him.
Yeah.
Find out what happened.
All right, y'all. Just
All
Oh,
follow
right,
the.
y'all. He said he's about to join again.
y'all know I talked to Judge Joe Brown today, and he was still cussing. I literally, actually, almost hung up in his ear. He was a snap clacking and clacking. I said, okay, okay. I was at the barber shop, so I said, y'all want to talk to Judge? All of us like, yeah. They called Judge O'Brien. I said, y'all don't want this. He was going in. Judge O'Brien is something. He is something.
Peace, dimples. Peace, she's heart set. Thank you, ladies, for coming through.
Yes. Okay, somebody gonna try that next name. I'm just gonna say Nike 903. Nike 903. Cause that first name, we
That's
no.
Cherokee, the original name. Anuania.
It's pretty. If that's what it is, that's a pretty name. Nick the artist. Oh, yes, I did. Oh, yes, I did, Nick. You already know Sister Freedom was on it. And my girl, look, my girl Michelle, she put it down. I was in my house damn near shouting. Michelle went in like that. And they made a short of it. What Darvis is in the chat.
Yeah, can you drop the
Oh,
link?
okay, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Give me a second. There you go, Darvis. Michelle, and a lot of them did good last night. It was good. And right now, Dots was saying that Oprah Winfrey was up speaking, right, Dots?
Yes, ma'am. Oprah is getting ready to speak. So we're gonna go over that probably on Friday or Saturday or something. Hi,
Okay.
Darvis, you back?
Peace, peace. I'm back, man. My bad. I had an important phone call. I had to answer that one. But anyway, though, I'm on a different device, so we shouldn't be interrupted by the phone calls no more. At least not no important phone call that I have to answer. Now, back to what I was saying. When I was young, well, when I was born in New York, Brooklyn, 101 Stanley Avenue. I think I was like either in the second or the third grade when we came down here. My mom wrote back home. A little after I was born, my grandmama already came back home. And then my other aunt started coming back home. And so my mom was like one of the last ones in New York that came back home. I still had an aunt and an uncle in Jersey, but she came back home. That came raised back here. And we got this family land here. It took me a while to adjust to the South, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. And since then, I was here. Got a little older, you know what I mean? I moved to Georgia. I stayed in Georgia for a little while. I stayed in Savannah. Stayed in, not Savannah, in the Hinesville. That's right outside of Savannah. I stayed in Atlanta for a little, like 6 months. I lived in Augusta for a while, like about 2 years, and came back here. I live all over different spots in Charleston and Goose Creek or whatever, Somerville, and that's basically my story. All my family is from here. My mom's
What
married.
about the consciousness? What led you to the Moors? Were you always Moor first, or did you go a Hebrew route, or did you wake up in consciousness at all?
All right, cool. So now, as I start getting older, my grandmother made it to where all the kids had to go to Bible study every Thursday. Sometimes we can get out of going to church. We really ain't had to go to church, but we had to go to Bible study every fucking Thursday. And Deacon Robinson would come by and pick us up. And I'm talking about from the age like 9 all the way up to we old enough that we didn't have to go. I mean, we decided we don't want to go. And so we've been dealing with the Christian thing since then. Now, my mom's after everybody moved, me and my brother moved out the house. My mom's started taking in foster kids, and there was a foster child that my mom took. She ended up adopting him. Him and his brothers. They had an older brother who was a Moor, and so every time he come by to visit them, boy, and I mean, we had these little bills and whatnot. And I mean, And I'm talking about every time we see each other. So after a while, when them boy got old enough where they can goddamn go off and on that little more shit that almost faded away. Got a homeboy caught a charge. I ain't gonna mention the name of none of that there, but he caught a charge, and he had to goddamn deal with these warrants he had. We ran across a dude named Yushinda. He was a Moor. I ran into him in a bookstore. And when me and Deuce had him get ran in the bookstore, man, I had seen him arguing with the clerk about them charging them taxes. I thought I think he had like a goddamn pack of paper or something simple like that there, but she was going to charge him taxes. He would tell him how he don't pay taxes, why he shouldn't be paying taxes or whatnot. So that whole little thing, I was behind him in line. Yeah, fucked us up. So I seen the argument, so I'm watching and listening to the argument, I mean. So I'm like, damn, what the fuck is this nigga talking? And beside that, he dressed weird. So I know it seemed like he wasn't from here. So I go and pay for my goods or whatnot. They end up dropping the thing and then taking the tax off his shit and let him pay whatever pay he left out. I left out behind him. And when we got in the parking lot, I asked him over there, dude, who the fuck you is? Or where you from? I mean, type shit. So I introduced myself to him. We talked for a second, I mean. We ended up building a parking lot. I'm talking about like for damn near 2-3 hours. We in the fucking parking lot building with this nigga. First thing he asked me, what was my nationality? I mean, and it kind of took me about, because I never heard that, nobody asked me that question. I told him, like, Hebrew. He was like, cool, that's good, but what's your nationality? I didn't understand what he was talking about. Like, I'm United States, you like anybody else would. We had a long conversation about that shit there, man, and he dropped so many jewels on me during that time, changed the way I looked at things. During that time, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. I got knowledge of the books since I've been little, so I understand the Bible. So I started dealing with the Hebrew movement. I'm not a part of no camp, but I'm dealing with the Hebrew movement. Now, I understand we're going to have to get to this first. Before I go any further, now, it was my homeboy one day that came back. He was going out of town. He came back and was like, damn, nigga, we ain't supposed to be eating pork and we ain't supposed to be, doing whatever on the Sabbath. So me and him debating about that shit. How you mean you ain't supposed to be eating pork or eating on the Sabbath, whatever the fuck? So we had a little debate about it. We went to the Bible and we dug into the Bible and I found out he wasn't lying. It was truth. And listen, I've been dealing with the book for a long time. I never really caught that part. And so since I caught it, now I know. So I've been dealing with that since then. I understand the history around it so I know who I am. As far as the Hebrew thing goes, I realized the Hebrew were Moors. Israelite were Moors. We start talking about nationality. And since then, I've been on my move. Now, about, I don't know if it was like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, somebody was telling me that I was dealing with YouTube and shit then. I listened to A1 and them boys. Shout out to King, to the God, excuse me. And somebody introduced me to this dude they call Top Cat. Now, when I heard about Top Cat, I've been fucking with A1 them boy, whatever. He had a different angle on the motherfucker, and a nigga during that time, I think he just lost his channel. He started a new channel or some shit like that. And niggas started dropping some information that niggas ain't never heard before. Not saying it's a lie, I'm not saying the truth. But I'm talking about, listen, that kind of information that made us have to reevaluate how we look at shit information. So one day I go on live when I realized how you can go live, whatnot, So I went live one day. And I've been fuck with them, and since then I've got a better understanding with the little how the Indian thing worked, how people felt about that. Now I'm from Goose Creek. We understand that we was once called Indians, but during this time we'd have been calling ourselves Indians. So I understand that, and I'm dealing with Top Cat and a couple other cats during that time. Add Power, of course we're dealing with Taj but the Mighty Hebrew I've been fucking with them niggas, and I was dealing with Taj and all them other cats, but I was the first time I ever going live on somebody's thing. It was on Top Cat shit. And so shout out to Top Cat, nigga put me down a lot of shit. We debated back and forth, on during this constant conflict we had, I learned a lot of shit. So shout out to that nigga there. I don't know what I mean. He took my sister out the house and all that shit. I mean, but I let that slide. But
Darvis, stay on the mission. Now, I want to go back for a second. You say you're
He
not
done took
supposed to
himself out.
eat
What in the
on the
world?
Sabbath.
Darvish, you okay?
yeah, I'm good, babe.
You said
Well,
you're
Did
not
he?
supposed to eat or work on the Sabbath.
we're not supposed to work on the Sabbath. But see, that wasn't the issue.
Okay, I thought you
The
said
issue
eat.
what me and my
Okay.
homeboy was arguing about was the pork thing and cooking on the Sabbath. And I'm talking about it got to the point where nigga, I know better than that. I know the Bible, so I know that ain't the goddamn Bible. So we debated back and forth about that shit there, and we broke out the goddamn Bible. Now, by this time, I already got a couple Bibles. And I found out the nigga wasn't lying. You know me, I gotta keep it 100. Shit, he ain't lying. The
So is
nigga
that how
listen to
you became a Moor, Darvis?
no, that's how I got into the Hebrew, got deep into the Hebrew thing. I got into the Moor thing from dealing with Taj and all them boy that understanding history and all that with Taj and them boys. That's how I got into the Moor thing. You shouldn't have opened my eye to that. You shouldn't have put me on Taj and Religiosity and all these other people. And since then, shit, I've been running then. I knew better then. And this was like 2014, some shit like that, somewhere in that area. So by the time I actually got to the point where I go on and actually nationalize myself, because like I said, my homeboy been going through some shit for the ones, he got nationalized and I did it while he was doing his. And then they got all them shit thrown the fuck out, dog. So I'm
You
like,
just
oh shit,
can I
nigga, this
say
nigga got to be
something,
talking about something. I mean, huh?
Darvis? You just
I'm
gonna
listening.
force us to deal with the profanity, right?
Oh, my bad, man. My bad, my bad. See, around here, man, we got our own language. And we
No,
got
this
a lot of
is
strong
Here we go.
verbs and a lot of strong adjectives when we talk. And I don't
Here
mean no
we
harm to nobody, you know what I mean?
hey,
Oh Lord.
Wild Savage, Ebony Knowledge. Hey, y'all.
Well, Freedom, do you have a question for Darvis?
Yeah, I do. I do. That was one of the questions. He gonna force the sisters, the goddesses, to deal, the sisters to deal with the cussing. But okay, all right. Here's my thing. There's always been a complaint about all these different names that we've been carrying. We've done carried nigga, black, colored, Moor. We done carried Indian. We done carried copper. We done carried every name. Don't you feel like that's a little issue to be called an African? Let's not forget that too. Don't you think being called a Moor is just another name that's being added on us? Do you feel like I mean, because if the Moors started way over in yonder and over there in Africa, right? How that be over here and we completely different people? You do realize that we different people, right?
Nah.
What? Why not? Because in that way, I
I,
mean, if you saying you're more than you are saying that you African, you saying you African?
no. No, no, no. That's not what
Well,
I'm saying. But what I will say, I may have a lot of people in Africa. It's like I may have people in Asia, I may have people in Europe, I may have people in everywhere. But
okay. But because okay, all right. Sometimes I wish we could just actually take ourselves in some historical back in time to get what we were actually called at one time, because all the names that we are putting someone else done put on us. Now, this more name that you are saying that we are now, and I came up underneath the Moorish paradigm too, with Taj and all of them. Okay, my mom's still a Mexican, she still follows that to this day. What I'm saying is, we do have knowledge that it started over in North Africa. If we're not Africans, how does it belong to us? Is what I'm trying to find out.
all
Just
right, cool.
not just because we got copper toned skin. You can't. I'm saying. I'm just gonna say why
Well,
we
go
can't.
ahead and let him answer, Sister Freedom. He has an answer for it. Darvis, go ahead and answer the question as far as how how the Moors came to be over here if they're from North Africa.
All right, cool. At one point in time, I'll be honest, at one point in time, I figured that the term Moor came from the ancient Moabites. We realized who Moab was. Moab also was a Hebrew.
But
But
these are
then once you go look, give me a
right.
second now. So now, dealing
Okay.
with my dog A1, he put me on a different. He helped me look at a different angle. This land was once called Amoru, named after the deity, and people worship the deity, so they call the land after the deity. Now, the land Amoru, the name of the people of the land will be Mo. Now we understand when it comes down to the Moor thing, though, you got to be careful. There's little things you can look at, little keys you can find out who's who. I understand it was an empire that spread over the world, but we spelt our names a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
When you see somebody call themselves Moor and use they're Americans, or what we call American now. The term America is a contemporary term.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you see the word spelled with two O's, we understand there's a good chance that it came from that continent they call Africa now. And there's different ways of spelling it. You spell with an H and an O, but you know that these people maybe from Europe or whatever. But now there was a couple books, like one of them, the book called 11,500 years of what name of the book? I can't think of the name of the book right now. But
Mm-hmm.
it will talk about how these people left here after the great flood, the great deluge, or whatnot. Know what I mean, and they start traveling all over the world, setting up communities, setting up civilization. During this time, a lot of those places that just came up, I mean, still just got out of the water, and it coincided with the Bible. It was used as a source to prove the Bible during that time. When I got hold to it, that's the way I used it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that got that from AP, Shop of AP. And because I had a history in the Bible, and I mean, it started making the connection. Because when I read the book, I found out this damn near the same thing they talk about in Genesis with Noah. Then I started dealing with the Sumerian thing, and it was similar. I started dealing with the ancient Greek culture, and it was similar with the Atlantis thing. So by using these, not just that, the antediluvian, Atlantis, the antediluvian world, basically the same thing. So now I start looking at it a little differently. Know what I mean, I start bumping heads with a couple other Moors that the people put me on, and said the Duke of Tears. Shout out to him.
Shout out.
These old Moorish teachers that may have seemed like they were rogue because they wasn't quite part of these temples, but they were dropping Jews in public, and I one of them cats been picking up the Jews. And from cross-referencing and doing my own study, whatever, that's why I make the stand. I make the stand that I make.
Okay. So
Okay. I have a
okay.
question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Frida.
Wait a
Are
minute.
you
I
done?
just yeah. So no, it wasn't. I'm okay. So what I'm trying to say is we are different people over here altogether from Africans. We are our own people on these lands. Hey, Commission. We are our own people on these lands over here. We're not Africans. So it, okay, so were the Moors Africans is what I'm trying to figure out. If they came from North Africa, would they be considered Africans?
And drop the
All right,
link for
cool.
Kamisha to come up.
Okay.
Hey, listen, man.
I'm gonna
Before
drop
I answer that
the
question,
link to go.
shouts out to that nigga Commission, man.
That's my
That
boy.
nigga gave me a fucking jewel, a book of fire, and
Hey, Commission,
shout out to Commission.
I dropped the link for you to come up. But
All right,
listen,
cool. So now,
this
for the
what I'm
African
let me
thing,
wait. But wait a
but
minute, I want to make sure I'm saying it correct.
I understand what you're saying, Queen.
I don't want it to be confusing and how I'm saying I'm confusing my own self. So
Yeah,
what
but
I'm
me and you talking. I know what you mean.
okay, right. But I'm saying because we're a different people over here. And if the Moors started over in Africa, right? And we're different people over here, the only way that we could be Moors over here is if the Moors from over there came and intertwined sexually with us and we started having babies from the Moors. You see what I'm saying? Because we are a complete different people.
I understand what you're saying.
So
Now,
that's where I'm getting my confusion. I'm sorry if it didn't come out right. You I hope you got it.
Queen, you don't got to explain yourself. I know what you're saying. I felt that same way. You know what nigga told me? He
What?
told me I was told a lie by a fucking liar.
Stop cursing.
Keep
I'm
telling him
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But
need a belt.
listen,
He
man,
need
I'm
a
a free man. Free men use the words the better. I mean, get out the message they trying to. I mean, get out. And
need to
so
be.
sometimes I may use stronger words. I'm a strong nigga.
All right,
But
just get to the
Try
point,
I
your
Darvis.
best
apologize for the
not to
cursing.
be
Though.
cursed. Just
I'm
try
gonna
your
try not to
best,
curse.
Darvis. But let's
I'm gonna
go
try not
ahead
to
and
curse.
let him answer the question.
Yeah, please, come on.
That's cool. So now,
Oh shit.
once we really understand the history, we look at history. All right, during the time of Noah, because I'm gonna go to that because I'm gonna first deal with the Bible. It was a big ass flood, and I know it seemed crazy. A lot of people don't want to deal with it, but there was a flood, and that flood wiped out most of the people in that area that we now call Africa. By the time Africa came up
Conspiracy.
out of the line, by the time Africa came up out of the water, people were going over there doing experiments and whatnot. There were things going on. We got cursed for doing them things, but we started making man. But
What?
Conspiracy.
yeah, it seems like
Conspiracy.
that, man. Listen, it seems like that. I understand what you're saying,
Conspiracy.
King. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it may be a conspiracy. But me and you decide to get together and wipe out
I mean,
unscrambled minds, it
and
would
I
be a
mean,
conspiracy.
and
That
that's
don't
what
mean
we
it's a lie,
need,
though.
and
But
that's
because
what we
it's a
need, and that's
conspiracy
what
doesn't make it not true.
I mean. You said that's what we need to do is get together. I mean, you falling into the whole act of just putting names on us like Moors,
No, but
Africans,
I
Hebrews,
know
and
that's not what I'm
all
doing.
that
What
shit.
I'm doing, what I'm doing is trying to backtrack who we are based on these names that was applied to us.
I
You know what I
mean,
mean,
at
Darvis,
the
I
end
have
of
King?
a
the day, we can't.
question.
At at the end of the day,
I have,
our DNA goes back to that continent, so we
I
are
don't really
African descendant people.
subscribe to the DNA thing,
Not even
but if we
about the
be honest,
DNA,
yeah, but if
but
we be
just
honest,
Well, hold
Africa
on,
was one of the
Jamal. Hold
last.
on,
wait,
Jamal. It
wait,
was
wait.
I'm gonna hold
Darvis.
down. I'm gonna
One
hold
Hold
down.
on,
second.
y'all. Okay. So, Darvis, I'm confused. I'll be honest. I'm so
Okay,
confused. Okay. So, uh, okay. So, what? Okay, you mentioned that people that we got wiped out by the flood. What flood are you talking about?
this the last flood we called biblical sense the flood of Noah, but there's other terms. I
The
mean,
flood.
describe that same flood. All right, and we talk about the last flood that happened to us. Some people call it Younger Dryas. Some people
So, are
call
you
the
saying?
Go ahead.
Okay, so are you saying that the people who were alive then during Noah's Ark or this flood that they were Moors?
No, because they didn't have a nationality then. It wasn't enough to
Right.
really have to have a nationality. We talk about before the nationality thing. See, I listen. The way I look at things, to me, it's easy to start from the beginning and then walk our way up to where we at now. Some people got enough resources where they can start from now and work their way back down to the beginning. But now, if you do that, you run into the symptoms before you run into the problem.
Okay,
You
so
understand what
well,
I'm saying? So
yeah,
I think it's
I'm
easier to start from the beginning.
I'm trying to walk the line with you. Okay, so if you're so you said that during this time, right? That no, they weren't Moors. So would you agree to Freedom's point that this is sort of that the identity of a Moor came much later, so it's sort of like a newer phenomenon or a
Yes,
newer
yes,
identity?
yes, yes.
Okay,
And we would
I just
call
wanted to get
things
that.
before that term. We had a different name that we called ourselves. That term came a little later, and after that term, there was
And
other terms.
Okay. And where did Noah's Ark, when this flood happened, where did it take place?
All over the world. They use the term Ritz. And the term Ritz can mean the whole world, or can also mean just a part of the land. It means land. According to
Okay.
the research I did, I don't have an etymological dictionary to go back far enough to define really mean all the land or just some of the land. But they use the term Ritz.
Okay. Okay. So there was a flood everywhere. Okay. So,
Yeah.
okay. So just to follow up, because I think somebody in the chat had asked this question as well. So if you can, as clear as you can, who are the Moors and how do you know who's a Moor and who's not? Like, is there anybody in your family line that was a Moor that maybe had a name like El or Bay? Do you have any, is there any records, for example, that says that you're a Moor? How does one know whether or not they are a Moor, or does it go by your skin color?
All right, cool. Now, when we deal with this term Moor, we got to understand it's a term that has many different entries. It can mean anything from the water, docking, swimming in the stomach of the mother, or meaning a dark skinned person. Now, we deal with etymology. As far as I've gotten etymology, is this place they call Amoru, which was the name of this place that we walk on now. We call America. We're the northern part of America. The land was called Amoru during that time. Now, everybody may not have called it Amoru, but the people of the land here in Americas called it Amoru because it was named after the so-called serpents. And it was not just one; there's two different aspects of the serpent.
So in essence, anybody could be a Moor. So that my specific question was, how do you know who's a Moor and who's not in terms of identity? So if you agreed that that the term Moor or the identity of a Moor is sort of like a later phenomenon, right? So it's not necessarily anything original. Okay, you agreed to that. You said that's fine, right? There's like in terms of genealogy, documents, paperwork, anything like that. So what I'm hearing you say is that if you have melanin, I can just claim to be a Moor as well. Like, what is the bloodline of a Moor?
Cool. Now, the people, the ancient Moabites, they spoke about in the Bible. They also spoke about the serpent. Before they got into Lot and his kids, Lot had a child named Moab. We understand the story behind Moab. But they claim that the ancient Moabites stem from him. But there are also entries that stem further than him, back to Eden. That the serpent that was in Eden, they called it Amoru Moru. Understand what I'm saying now?
Are you still asking questions?
Not really. No, I'm gonna stop because I do have loads of questions. I was gonna let Jamal get in because he came up. I don't know. Do you have a question for Darvis?
One thing. Are we in the? Are you serious that we in the Bible? Wait a minute. Are we gonna act like the Bible is? Wait a minute, Darvis. Are you telling me that you believe the Bible word for word? You don't see it in the symbolic form?
A lot of it is symbolic,
Yeah,
but it
because I'm
has
trying to figure
a lot of this.
to me here because you didn't want to
But
know.
when we start talking about the Bible, they deal with genealogy. And think about genealogy.
No, stop.
It does, though, Queen. It does. If you look at anytime we deal with a new book in the Bible, as far as the Old Testament goes. But before it starts, the progenitors' bloodline is first recognized. The first thing they recognize in the first chapter of every book is the bloodline of the particular prophet or progenitor that they speak about.
Okay.
And it starts with a genealogy.
Are you saying it says when this one begat this one? So you are
Yes.
actually putting that like, okay. So
yeah, that's genealogy.
So okay, but please don't. That's just like we can find a similarity in the Three Little Pigs. We can find similarity in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I mean, with things that happen. I mean, so can we just, not do that? Because when you do that, people will start believing like these things actually really happen, and that's going to confuse people.
All right, but you saying that it didn't happen? You say that the flood didn't really happen?
No, it's allegory.
All right, well, cool. Well, you got it. Well, cool. I got you,
It's
Queen.
like saying, in the beginning was darkness. So in your mind, yes, in the beginning it was nothing until it was thought.
We'll do the second floor.
It was
Exactly.
consciousness. You
But
feel me?
I know, but they
So
use the term bitter cheap.
I'm saying you're gonna confuse people into thinking like these things really, the Bible is symbolic to something completely different.
It is though.
Like you saying it is gonna make it appear like it's some real deal.
But it is though, Queen. Now, this is what I would
That's his
say.
belief, though. So we can't.
No, it's not.
But
No, it's not. It's not a belief.
But
All right,
that's
listen,
hold on,
Queen.
Darvis. What did you mean?
I got to only answer one of y'all one at a time.
I know. I'm sorry.
yeah, that was
What
my
did you?
question, Dot.
Oh
So
my
that's what
God.
I'm saying. You're gonna have to let me do this.
Go
You're
ahead.
gonna
But
just
I wanted to know about genealogy.
But
I
wait a
got
minute,
you, Queen.
it's not
Give me a second. Let me ask you the question.
it was
Once
my
I answer her, yeah, once I answer her question, then I got you, Queen. It ain't hard. I got you, Queen. I'm not gonna
yeah,
forget about you.
depends on what just
Now,
happened. It's good. Hey Lolita, Sister Betty, we love you. When Dustin there. Okay, when I see you, baby. Sorry. That was
all
my
right,
phone.
cool. Cool.
Um,
Now,
well, yeah, because if you go to Noah and all of that, my mind goes to fairy tales and stories. So I'm trying to figure out it's
And
strictly
y'all,
figurative
let's
allegory.
please, after Sorry Sister Freedom, let's please go in order. I know it's Darvis tonight, but after Sister Freedom, I know you were going. It's gonna be Jamal and then me.
Okay.
cool. No problem.
I must have missed something though. See, I thought I was going to order. Maybe I missed it.
No, well, you kind of skipped me, but that's okay.
I'm
I just
sorry,
want to make
baby.
sure because I know we all have questions. Because Darvis is gonna say some wild stuff, but we gotta make sure we maintain the order.
I got confused. I'm sorry. I got confused. I thought I was after Dot. So maybe I messed up. You want to go ahead and ask my question? I can hold mine.
No, you can go ahead and finish your question. Then it's Jamal.
Okay. So if we come, so what you're trying to do is somehow by using the fairy tale stories that are allegory of the Bible, you trying to put us in mind because the Bible is clearly saying the Moabites, I guess somehow are Africans in a sense, if you want to go there in a literal sense. And we're not Africans is what I'm trying to say. So I'm still trying to figure out how we doing this. And why do we have to okay, let me just say this to make it easy. Why do we have to be Moors? Why do we have to be Moors? And I talked to Kamisha, he said he is going to come up. Why do we have to be Moors?
All right, peace. I got you, Queen. I understand what you're saying. The debacle I ran to also. Now, when I said this flood thing, I know it seemed far fetched. Of course, it's gonna seem like that. It seemed like that to me too. But when we cross reference it with these underwater dives that they had in the Mediterranean, they know there's statues, there's buildings, there's pyramids, and all underwater in the Mediterranean. Same thing with the Pacific Ocean. The same thing with the Atlantic Ocean. They got temples. They got all kind of stuff underwater. So that lets us know that we know we didn't go down there and build it underwater. So at one time it was all on top of water. I do not subscribe to the continental drift theory. That's why I'm dealing with the flood theory because it seemed a little more accurate to me. And the reason why I go with that is because we could go to the bottom of these oceans and you see there's structures down there. And that's evidence that one time those lands was above water.
What's the question?
I'm not on my laptop right now, but anybody can go on. You can Google pyramids or structures found on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. You do the same thing with the Pacific Ocean. You do the same thing with the Indian Ocean. You do the same thing with the Mediterranean. The reason why I brought the Mediterranean up because a lot of people feel though these things happen in that area. I don't subscribe to that. Now, as far as us having to be African in order to be a Moor, I'm gonna address that right quick. This information left here and went over there. These people that they call Africans now are not aboriginals to the land they call Africa. Those people were underwater. All of them got wiped out. Just like here in America, Europe, Asia, and Australia. All that was underwater. We came up above the water. The so-called Americans, according to the so-called Masons, or what's the dude name? Augustus something, who wrote the book Queen Moo. These lands came up out of the water. And the people that descended from the progenitor, I'm gonna call him Noah. I understand people got different names for him. I'm gonna call him Noah. His kids. His kids started being fruitful and multiplying. Once most of the land, a lot of land started coming up, they started traveling. They divided the world up between them. But they all come from Noah. So if you have a child, excuse me, you say you got 4 kids, they're still whatever you are and your husband is, correct?
I don't have 4 kids.
I'm just giving an example, Queen. I'm just saying. I'm
Uh-huh.
just saying you have 4 kids.
Uh-huh.
All right. And one of your children go to that place they call Africa. Another one of them go to that place they call Europe. Another one may go to that place they call Asia. And one stay here with you. They're still your kids, no matter how many generations apart. Now,
It's still
they have kids.
to me, but okay.
I know I'm trying to explain how it happens because we thinking that because the term Moor is used, it must come from that place they call Africa. But no of them boys Ark landed in America. Most of
How?
these stories that we speak about inside the book could not have happened in Africa because Africa was still underwater during these times.
What?
Yeah.
All right, Dulcie.
Yes. And it's crazy, right? So now listen, all right, check it out, right?
He
Let's go to
didn't
Atlantic Ocean. Let's go,
but okay.
listen. You can go to the Atlantic Ocean, do a little research in the Atlantic Ocean. There are structures and pyramids off the west coast of Africa underwater still today.
Mm, mm, mm.
Word, it's seeing crazy. But you got people actually diving down right now. Not saying that today, but diving down, taking pictures of these things, these structures they found down there. It's down there.
But that don't
Now,
make them more, but it's Jamal
no, it
is
don't have nothing to do with being more.
no, it don't. But that was my
Yeah, I'm just trying to prove. What I'm trying to prove is at one
driving.
time we listen. What I'm trying to prove is that one time there was no water around here.
What
That
is
What?
these lands that you find underwater now was once above water. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Because of the structures they got down there, they let you know that it wasn't always underwater. That's why I'm trying to prove the flood thing. Remember now we were talking about the flood thing before we started bird walking.
mm-mm. Go ahead,
All right,
Jamal.
Jamal has a question for you, Darvis.
Cool. Peace, God.
Mm.
Dulcie, were you next or Jamal? I don't remember.
That's
Okay, Jamal, go ahead.
Jamal, are you
Jamal.
there? Jamal.
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Can
Now
y'all hear
we
me?
can.
Okay. Well,
Peace,
first,
peace, peace, God.
well,
Can
first of
everybody
all,
hear?
just
Wait a minute, Jamal. Can everybody hear us good in the chat? Because somebody said it wasn't
It's
it
coming
wasn't able
across
to
clear.
hear. But I
No, it's
guess
coming across
everybody.
clear.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead,
okay.
Jamal.
Okay. Well, first of all, just shouts out to the Unscramble Mind platform. I've been listening to y'all for a little while. Sinetta, Chris Harris, what about before I even address him? How old are you, brother? No disrespect. Like, how old are you?
I don't hide nothing. I'm always 100, King. I'm 49 years old. I'm
Okay.
about to be 50.
Okay. The internet is not just touching the youth; it's touching our elders too. Lord have mercy. But I'm gonna say this. But my question to you, my brother, is well. First of all, I'm gonna say this: the only archaeological evidence and
I
biological
but first
evidence
listen,
that we have.
King. When we first meet each other, we say peace. That
I
lets me
don't
know
know.
you come in peace. You come in peace?
I don't know. All
I will
right,
peace to
peace.
you then, King.
But
All right.
all right, peace. I ain't no gang though, but all right, peace. But I'm gonna say this: like, the first, just pertaining to
Jamal, you went out, honey. You must be keep hitting the mute button or something. Jamal, we
Can y'all
can't
hear
hear.
me?
Now we can.
Yeah, I hear you now, okay?
I don't know what's going on with this thing. I'm on my phone. I
You talking
seen
to
y'all
God, my
live. I
nigga.
seen
Sometimes
y'all
God
live.
getting weird at.
I'm on YouTube. Look, I'm on YouTube. I seen Unscramble Minds live, and I just hopped on. I'm on my phone. But look though, the first thing just pertaining to the flood thing. I know you use that as a basis of some of your evidence. Like the only archaeological and biological evidence that we have of any flood from back then was discovered maybe in the 80s or the 70s, and that was because of water damage of one of the Sphinx or the Great Floods, or some of the water damage of the Sphinx or one of the Great Pyramids in Egypt, and that was way before the Bible. So you
Cool.
so you correlating the Bible with your evidence of the world being wiped out or whatever, that's kind of, you know what I'm saying?
It seems like that. I understand what you're saying,
And
King.
then,
But you gotta get
just
weird. Listen, you gotta let me answer the first question first, though. But
Wait,
Listen
don't
to this,
come
King.
out,
You
Darvis.
gotta first let me answer the first question, then I answer the second question.
no, I was just making a
I can't
statement.
answer 10 questions at one time, bro. All right, cool. Go
But no,
ahead.
I was just making a statement. Then I'm gonna answer your question. And then just pertaining to you calling like us Moors, and when I say us, I say just put it out, black people,
No, I'm
African
calling you a
descended
more,
people.
King. I'm not
But
talking about us. I'm talking to
we
you. You a more.
I mean,
And I'm
I'm an
gonna prove it to
African
you.
descended man, and we had many names on that continent. And if we get into the etymology, into the history of the word more, Europeans named us that. They also named us
Cool.
many names.
All right,
So
cool.
we can get into that name, but we had many names. We did many things. Our history is very vast when it comes to black people, African descended people in America and Africa, Europe, wherever you want to go. We got a vast history. So to just put
Well,
one title, to
Jamal,
just
did
put,
you have a question?
yeah, I do got a question. I do got a question. But the sister really answered, the sister really asked my question. Like,
And what was that? It was the flood?
what makes us Moors? And when you answered the question, I get a feel and I get a perception that you really don't know. You know
I know
what I
it seems
mean?
like that, right? But don't worry about it. King, I'm gonna walk you through it. All right. Give me a second. Now, we start off with this flood thing. That's what we start off, right? With the flood thing. Because you don't subscribe to the flood thing. But can you explain the reason why there are pyramids, statues, buildings, and things underwater? You think we went down underwater and built these things, King?
I mean, it was a flood.
All right, cool. So we agreed there was a flood then. All right, cool. I got your part. Now, pause the term African descent. Now, do you think that before the flood, that this place was called Africa?
I mean, African is a modern English word or modern word
True
right now.
that.
So of course it
True
wasn't
that.
called
So there's
Africa.
no ancient word called Africa, and we agree with that.
There's no ancient word called Moor neither, brother.
All right, cool. I got you. So we know that we're not African descent. The term more older than the term Africa. We agree with that, correct?
But without the Semitics and without just
Gang,
the
Semitic
wordplay in the
is the
games,
way you prove that you educated.
Darvis,
we know what
Darvis, please
we
let him, please.
But my bad.
we know what we call that continent now. Just without the games, all that, we know what we call that African now. For enable for us to communicate with each other right now, we know what we call that continent. So
And
we
I'm
are
sorry,
descendants.
Jamal, you're gonna have like one more minute to land because this isn't a Jamal Darvis back and forth. We want to make sure we're getting everybody in.
Okay, just for the platform, I'm gonna ask my man Darvin this. I'm gonna let him elaborate on it, and I'm gonna deal. But I I'm a fan of y'all platform. I'm just gonna say that right now. But with you, Darvis, like we know that the Moors is not an ancient word. We know the Africans is not an ancient word. So can you explain to us how we became just Moors. Where did that word come from? And how did black people around the world become just we? How are we Moors? Can you explain that? Can you elaborate on that, please?
All right, peace, God. I got you. Now, the reason why I say we are more because somebody else did it before me. I didn't come up with this term. The term was here before me. Now, the people of this land had a trade route. We were doing trade all over the world. The place that they call Africa now was also involved with that trade route. All right. They gave them a name in contemporary times to describe the people that were doing this, whatever they were doing. They use that term more. Now, there's a definition of that term, what is entry to the definition, and it stands for a darkly or heavily melanated person or melanated person. So that term alone, because it's in a dictionary, you can use that term more to describe a person. It was used once before the Christians came and colonized. We were dealing with that particular term. And if you do history on that place they call Africa, that term more was used throughout that region. Most of the people within that region are not from that region. We understand that, correct?
You say many people are not from that region.
Yeah, a lot of people from in that place they call Africa. If you look at the origin story, you tell they migrated there.
Yeah, from Europe and the East.
Cool. But Europe was also underwater. You know what wasn't underwater? Central and the northern part of America. Not the extreme north, but we weren't underwater. After the water starts to subsiding, land came back up, land to come up, the water went down. And when dry land came about, people started going there for different reasons, mainly
All
dealing
right,
with trade.
stick around, Jamal. Okay, I know you have more questions. We all do.
Yeah,
But
thank
stick
you for hitting the
around.
link.
And yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
hitting the link. Peace, commission. Peace, niche, knee.
Peace to my motherfucking dog commission. I've been
Oh
trying to
my
get in touch with you
God,
and shit, man.
Darvis.
Wait, yeah,
Oh
one
man.
second, Darvis, and peace,
He
peace.
cannot
So
help
I
it.
did have a question, and I know Nisha did you want to go first because you just came in, or just have me go?
No.
No, I'm good. Go ahead. Hey,
Okay,
y'all.
so Jamal brings up a
Peace, Nisha.
point that we talked about before, Darvis, that I would like you to go ahead and explain. And I want to preference it as far as when we're coming to a lot of this information, it's coming from certain European sources. We understand it would have been called European previously, but by the time all these people that are giving you Moorish history come along, they are known as European. Europe is a thing, and it's all coming from there. So, Darvis, if you could explain, especially like with the Masonic ties that a lot of this information comes from, and I get that we do have people that look like us that share it now, but a lot of them are quoting those same Masonic Europeans that gave the Moorish nationality in the first place. So how do you divide that as far as that this information is coming from a lot of Mason missionary sources?
Peace. I got you. First thing you do, I gotta check is the disclaimer. All right. Queen, I love you, but you was told a lie by a fucking liar. Now, the term more. Anyway, the term more, the term, excuse me, I'm dealing with somebody on the sideline, but the term more, Queen, is a little older. These people on that particular continent they call Africa now was once a part of a big trade route, and we all did business together. We all set up laws on how we're going to do business. We even came up with a lingua franca, a way of doing trade. I'm talking about to the point where these words we use had a numerical equivalent. That was the reason why we named things the way we named them, based on the trade route.
So we needed Europeans to find these terms for us and find this history for us, and we couldn't find it ourselves. And why?
My bad. Say that again, Queen.
We needed European masons and missionaries to find this history for us, and we
No,
couldn't find it ourselves. And if
no,
why,
no,
then why
no,
are all the sources coming from them? Was my question.
because that's what you're studying. If you're studying European sources, you're gonna find European sources. But the people in Europe, Queen, went to Europe. These people that you see doing these aristocrats that's over there in Europe, they're not from Europe. That's why they call them Moors. Everybody had a nationality. They didn't call them French. They didn't call them British. They call them Moor. And there's a reason why they call them Moor. But that's what I would say. There's a lot of information that we dealing with today, and a lot of them stem from that place, as if they held a lot of information that we don't got, we're not privy to. Now, when you talk about these Masons, a lot of these Masons, or these historical or these different orders, they held information, they protected different information, and it wasn't supposed to be revealed until the time of Aquarius. We're in Aquarius now, so a lot of information is coming out from these organizations.
And do you know why that is? Why that information wasn't privy to the Americas and why it was held up in Europe?
It was, but here in America, they put a cap on what we can learn. We all were indoctrinated here in the United States part of America, and these people held us in a mental servitude. We couldn't think outside the box. Our kids were taught how to think from the time we were little, and because they taught us how to think, we couldn't grasp that. But now that we're older, and now in the age they call information age or Aquarius or whatnot, these books are being unsealed. And there were people here in America that had that also. Most of these orders stem from here. A lot of these orders have bread roots to it. I wouldn't say David or Solomon were the first Masons, but they were also Masons. A lot of these people in these orders was given information to protect, or they were taught things that a lot of people wasn't privy to. But they also were told that if you let it out, they kill you. But now this is the information age. Everything coming out. There's gonna be a lot more things coming out, Queen. I don't know everything. All I know is just what I know. I try not to deal with the belief thing, but I believe a lot more than what I know. But the Masons, because they got that term on the Mason, doesn't mean they're your enemy. I'm a Moor. We deal with that too. You were a Moor, so you deal with that also.
All right, Nisha can ask a question, but I appreciate that you said a lot that you have is belief and not what you know. I
Yeah,
do
and I try
appreciate
not
you
yeah,
admitting
and I
that.
try not to talk about it.
No, no, go.
Oh,
I'm really just getting into the conversation, so go ahead. I'll pass the
I don't
Kamisha.
know about that, Darvis. We've talked a lot about beliefs tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we look at, all right, what's the definition of belief? Break it down in your own word. What is belief? Other than the
Not
acceptance of
sure.
truth without proof.
Unsure. It means
Yeah.
unsure.
The
Don't know.
acceptance of the acceptance of something as
Thank
truth
you, Sister
without
Freedom.
proof.
Don't know. It means you
It
don't
means
know. And if you
Yeah,
subjective.
don't
and I
know,
agree with you. And I agree with
believe
you.
it.
Queen.
You
And
believe
I
it.
agree with you too, Freedom. But I try not to deal with that. I try to deal with just what I know. If I don't know, I'm gonna tell you I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, we got somebody on
Kamisha.
here.
Yeah.
Kamisha. Hey, Kamisha. What's going on, brother?
Just real
Peace and
quickly
love. How
before
y'all
Kamisha,
doing, sisters?
peace, Kamisha. After Kamisha, Cosmin, I'll allow you to get in and then I'll follow up my
Hey,
question to
Cosmic
Darvis,
Cloud.
okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, y'all doing all right?
He's doing all
We're
right.
good. We're good.
Are you gonna ask Darvis a question? Go ahead, because I can't wait.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Kamisha.
Uncle Jet Sanel, life, health, and prosperity be upon all of y'all,
Thank you.
And y'all already know, I don't rise unless I rise upon the seventh. within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right. I just want to give honors to y'all. I was sitting here listening to the family. And, I'll just say this in regards to dealing with a lot of this information. Many of us, we have received information from various different sources, right? And so based upon that information or the lack of what we may have, our opinion will be formulated around that, And all I would say is in research to dealing with the word, any word, and a lot of people don't know, a lot of these words go back further than we think they do. For example, if I were to ask anybody to take the word black, right? The word black itself, and try to trace this word black back. I ain't talking about what somebody tried to define a word in another language as black, but the word black itself. We know it wouldn't go nowhere beyond the 16th century, because that's how old the English language is, right? You wouldn't find the word black in any other language that you go to, even the root, the BL, CK, removing all the vowels. And if somebody can do that right there, then they more than welcome to proving that. But I've tried and researched, and looked for it. But the word more, the root of that word, when you remove the vowels, go back beyond where we are now. In fact, it derives from, another word. The word more, in Africa, was actually the word mar, M-A-U-R. That didn't come from the European. That was the name that the natives used, that they called themselves. They called themselves the Mari, and this word goes all the way back to language in ancient India, as it refers to the man, the land, or people. The Mauryan dynasty, for example, right? This ain't nothing pseudo. I'm showing you etymology, right? And you go, and these are the Kushites, by the way, of India. And if we were to go into Africa, the word Mari goes back, to the Kemetic word. And also just removing the vowels, what people don't know in etymology, when you have the M and the R left bare and alone, because our people really didn't use the vowels as we use them until recently, even though we created the vowels too. That's a whole nother measure. The M-E-R refers to the overseer of the land. In fact, it actually even says the mayor of the city. So we can trace the word mayor in this modern time all the way back to ancient Kemet, M-E-R, the word mir. Now there's also a word in relation to dealing with that deals with love. Now you have people come up there and say, well, what about the portion where it refers to the water? Because there's a word in English that can be traced all the way back to Kemet that refers to more as it relates to the water as well. So this is etymological proof, tracing these words that they have a relation to this time. But you can't do that with black. We don't say that to strike out at the term that people use. We're saying one is a description and one can be traced back further than the other one. And so once we understand that name Mari was given to those people by the natives, then we say, all right, it wasn't given to them by the Romans. It wasn't given to them by no Latins. If you got the sources, if you don't, you're going to regurgitate what somebody else told you. And that's what's going on. And that's why people keep going back and forth over this one word, because some are arguing from the standpoint of Western academia, and some are arguing from the standpoint of actual source information that'll tell you. And it's out there. This ain't nothing you got to dig for. It'll tell you that the natives call themselves the Mari, and the word Moor comes from the word Mari. So, when you deal with the Mari aspect, this is from North Africa. These were people that adopted this name. And then when we come into the English language, this word Moor, M-O-O-R, is just a change between the vowels. Instead of being A-U, it's O-O in the middle. And the Moor coming from the Mari, basically deal with what we are talking about in Spain, the Moors who ruled 700 years. And we do have a connection to those people. I know I do, by my DNA. I'm gonna say that everybody got different DNA, so I ain't gonna. But what I will say is that it is proof and evidence that those who came across the Sahel, if you don't know what the Sahel is, that's straight across the continent of Africa. Think about coming through the middle, out of the Sudan. They came from the region of Sudan, which is where the Cushites were, migrated all the way into the west, what they call the door of no return. That's where the slaves were brought from, Senegal. You know, I got a lot of videos on this stuff. And this is where the Moors, you know, who come from the Mari, were actually taken into slavery. This ain't no pseudo. This ain't what nobody said. We can prove this, have proved it on numerous occasions. Some people don't know that. So they're going to go off of what they told. And as long as we keep doing that, we're going to always have those arguments. So we have to come to a point to where we say, okay, what are we willing to accept? Because some people are rejecting things because they have something against who they call the Moors, because their ideology teaches them attack the Moors. And some people are basing their position off of hearing the Moors being attacked and thinking that the people that attacked them was right. And they don't even know, you know, is that they are following that same misguidance. And that's why people are beefing over a word, when the word Moor is found even in the European law. For example, I heard our sister speaking on the Masonry, and even the concept of Masonry, even though our people didn't call it that, you know, the Europeans stole what they stole from us to a certain degree. We actually taught them, and they used it against us. Let's just say that. And they stole that legacy and claimed it as their own. G.M. James talked about this. He said the same thing, and he referred to the Mari people, the Moor. These are the custodians of the wisdom of ancient Kemet. And so there are those who are in this era and time that don't want our people to know this, you know, because once we all embrace what this is, it attaches us to the land, people, whether you know it or not, you know. And this is in the European law and the records. It's there, but it's an agenda. You know, it's meant for us to continue to reject the term and go against it, because Western academia has made it their business to make sure that our people continue to see it through the eyes that they created it to be.
Well,
and that's why we have the conflict coming in.
Wait, let Dots get in, because I think it was Dots, and then
it's actually my turn.
Yeah, go ahead though. That's what I was saying. I'll land my plane.
No,
like actually, it's my turn.
It was you before I asked the question.
Right, but that's okay. Cosmin wanted to say something, and then I'll ask my question after. Cosmin?
Peace to the God.
Man, peace to the righteous gods and Nirvanian goddesses. Love, light, balance out there to all y'all, man. Nice, good show, sisters. I guess I got two questions, and I'll ask the questions for Darvis, and then I'll let the brother also Kamishim. Shout to you, brother. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout to you. We see we can trace this word Moor back to Latin and late Greek. What is the earliest use and attestation for the word Moor?
All right, cool.
And
now
who used it first?
All right, cool.
Yep.
All right, peace, God.
Peace.
Anyway, before I answer that question, OTK was supposed to be getting with you. And I mean, about the shit we talked about. We're building that later, though. Now, as far as the question go now, like I say, I'm an Israelite. I got a history in the Bible. So now I'm going to use the Bible to go back to the furthest term, because I can source that. And that will go back to the ancient Moabites. And
what time?
All right, now, far the time thing go, I don't like to deal with time like that, because we had so many different calendars. Astrology was dealt with differently by different cultures. The amount of time, even in the Bible, you can have somebody in the Bible that lived 900 some odd years ago, but you look at it, Jewish Bible, it could be like 300 some odd years ago. Excuse me, a Christian calendar may be a little shorter than, say, a Jewish calendar, because the way they dealt with astrology was a little different. But what I would say is, Lot descendants were the ancient Moabites.
So who was the first to use the term?
I can't say who the first used the term because I wasn't around. So I don't want to say something I mean that I really can't prove. So
I feel that.
that's why I used that particular part right there.
You want to answer that question, Brother Kamish?
Yeah, most definitely. It was actually and I want y'all to get this book when you get a chance. It's called Invent the Berbers. And it actually tell you exactly when the word Moor came forth. You know, and it the word M-O-O-R, you know, when it was adopted. But it tell you that the word is a derivative of the word Mari.
Moors,
you know?
Right?
Yeah, the word Moor is a derivative of the word Mari. And Mari actually comes from a tribe in North Africa that was known as the D-Mari. That's D-I-I-M-A-U-R-I. And that means the Moorish gods. In fact, when the Romans conquered the Moors, they prayed to the Moorish gods or gave thanks to the Moorish gods for allowing them, like sarcastically, to conquer the Moors. So that word Mari is the root of the word Mauritania, brother. And it's basically Moor is nothing more than a different germination of the word Mari, the root word of Mauritania. You know, and it goes.
When you say Mari, you say M-O-R-E?
No, M-A-U-R. That's the
M-A-U-R.
African,
Okay.
yeah, the African affiliation. But when you come into the English, you know, just like certain words that we have that they may speak of in certain languages, some of them keep their root. And that's what I was pointing out earlier. That root M-R, it go back way before even the Mari, because it go back to Kemet, it go back to India, it go back to the Phoenician.
They call it, ain't that what they call a pyramid? A mirror?
Yep, mirror, all of that, you know, and I actually had it. If you look at my picture right there, you can see what you talking about right there on the background by my head. You know, and so that's what people don't know. They don't know, regardless of the vowels that's taken out, that term, even if we go into ancient time, removing the vowel, it refers to the man, the land, or a people. It always has and always, you know, did up until this time. So the word Moor is the English way, you know, of saying Mari. And if you go and look up the word Mari, it'll tell you that that was the name that the natives used, not the Romans, not the Latins. And so we derived the word Moor from Mari. So they're basically the same thing, but just different ways of expressing it, you know, in this language. And people don't understand etymology, so they think, oh, these different words. No, these words, for example, and I'm going to land the plane right here. The name Asa in ancient Kemet, right? A lot of people don't know the word Asa, you know, in Arabic becomes wazir, right? Etymologically. And this is dealing with Asa. And also the term usir, because U is interchangeable with W in what we call sound shifting. But when you come into the language of English, assert is connected to that. Assert represents power and authority. And that's what Asar, Usir, Wazir represents, power and authority. But if you don't know etymology, you can't make that connection. You understand?
Yeah.
So, you know, there are words that kept their root even in the English. But go ahead.
So who do you got using it first?
Talking about the word
Maury.
Maury? Oh, yeah,
the
North Africans used it first. They were the ones that used that word Maury. And what it was, the Romans adopted that into their language. The Latin had their own, the Romans and the Latin had their own terms to refer to the Moors. Like they would call them the Moros or the Morus, which is still connected to the root. You see what I'm saying? But the Mari was the actual name the natives called themselves. And it's the same way if you get into certain dialects of Spanish, you know, and somebody say that they are this, but if you go into another dialect, they may change an I to an E or whatever the case may be, but it still don't change the fact that the word mean what it is. You know, like you say Dios, some people might put D-E, you know, O and S. Some people may say D-I-U and that's Dios, you know, depending on what people you're dealing with. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's where people are falling. They think, oh, this is different. The greatest example I gave, though, was a few minutes ago when I was telling the people the word mayor can actually be traced back to the same word, M-E-R. I'm talking about etymologically, and you'll see it M-E-R in the English dictionary. as the same thing, bro. The word mare, and it go all the way back to Kemet.
I know you telling the truth. I already did the
You see what
study
I'm
on it.
saying?
Yeah.
And so etymology is what really gives us the proof of even our relationship to each other. I'm gonna give you another prime example. In the ancient, well, we ain't gonna say ancient time, but modern science, before they start calling our people Homo erectus, a lot of people don't know this, that Homo erectus was referred to as Atlanthropus morintanicus.
Yeah.
And Atlanthropus morintanicus actually mean Atlantis and more. And this is scientific now. This ain't something made up. And then they have what you call the Ibero-Maurusians, which were there, 25,000 years ago. Your Jabir Uhud, which deal with, so that name Mar can be traced through various different time frames, but it just took on different forms and germinations according to the time. And it reached us in the form of the name Moor. But it's really Mari, which is a root that can go all the way back to even the ancient Kemet. I'm talking about thousands of years ago. But you just have to know that. If you don't know that, you'll be burnt up. You're gonna be arguing about a word.
Let me run through this because I know Doc's want to ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now
bro.
you didn't bring up this, so I'll ask Darvis, and if you want to expound afterwards. Darvis brought up the flood, right? I just wanted to ask him, what year was the flood, right? And what year was the flood?
Peace.
And is there also, I'll add on there just so you can go ahead and just go in. Is there any geological proof of this flood? And what would you say on that?
All right, peace. This is what I would say, Ken. Because like I said, I don't like dealing with the year thing because so many different cultures dealt with different calendars and it told time differently. But as far as evidence go, you can look off the coast of Cuba. One of the biggest pyramids in the world is in the Atlantic Ocean, off the coast of Cuba. There's other pyramids all over this ocean. If they got people that dive down there and actually were taking pictures of different things, that there are all kinds of structures down there, that let you know that one time it wasn't on the water. So you can use that as evidence that there was a flood.
Could that have been very recently?
Nah. What I would say is I know about 3 different floods. Like I said, I don't want to deal with the time thing because, like I said, people tell time differently.
Well, what time do you think for you? Like, what time sits well with you?
All right, so I would say because of the particular source,
just give me the roundabout.
11, about 12,000, anywhere from 10 to 12,000.
Okay,
would have been the last flood, but there was a flood of Canaan, and I don't want to say that date, you know what I mean? Because, like I say, we told time differently. But the fact is this: being the evidence is that you go under the Atlantic Ocean, you go into the Pacific Ocean, you go into the Indian Ocean, you go into the Mediterranean, you see structures under there that let you know that it was once flooded. That's just evidence that it was a flood. Unless you can think of a way somebody went down there and built these sculptures, these houses, these buildings, and these pyramids.
No, that could have been real old and just flooded recently.
Could have been also. You're right.
Yeah.
But based on the older maps, like
okay.
they got
I don't know if you agree with this, Commission, but the brother Darvis said that at one point Africa and Europe was submerged. Can you give us a timeline on when Africa was submerged, when it came unsubmerged, and the same thing for Egypt?
Well,
I mean, Europe. Excuse me, Europe.
Yeah, well, I would say this, good brother. I wouldn't say that the continents were submerged per se. There's a certain sunken continent that actually was submerged. You got to remember the submerging came after everything was separated. And what Noble Drew Ali called the Great Atlantean Earthquake, so to speak, or the splitting into the 7 continents. So there were various different floods that took place, and a lot of them when you go into the calendar history of it, the brother spoke on the last one correctly. You know, it was around.
Now you said that there was many floods. I'm talking about the flood, though.
Yeah, but
there was only one big one.
No, there were a couple of big floods, brother. But what I'm saying is, the last one he spoke of, he was correct. It was around 10,000 to 9,000 years ago. You know, they call it the final submersion at the age of the end of the younger Dreas in the Indian teachings, and the submersion of Atlantis. A lot of people refer to it, which was 9,851 BCE. You know, but there was another Atlantean class cataclysm as well.
It's actually called Post Base 1.
Yeah, based on who is speaking and telling the story, they all have their terms for it. So, you know, you even had a flood that took place 34,000 years ago, BCE. But, you know, we're talking about the more modern one that most people like to refer to as the flood of Noah. And these floods do exist. I'm going to tell you where my evidence of this come from. I did the research, right? And I found out that every one of these flood stories said the same thing, but in different ways. The Indians, the Native Americans had a flood story they told.
Everybody,
you know, the people of India had one that they told in the East. Then you had the one that was told by ancient Kemet. Then you had the one that was told by what they got from Kemet, you know, the Greeks. And a lot of these flood stories, the last one is always referring to them sending out birds, or maybe even a different type of bird, you know, and it's coming back, you know, after fouling dry land. All of these people from different cultures, various different religious systems that didn't even believe in the same thing, is saying the same thing all the way over here, even in the West. Now, they didn't have the internet back then like we have now.
What time you got for this flood?
This last flood that he was referring to.
Cosmin, that'll be your last question, okay? Because then I would like to jump in. So that'll be your last question, okay?
Yes.
For now.
So yeah, pardon self. That last flood, like I said, would have been around 10,000 years ago, and this is proven by testing the mud flats over there in the city of Atlantis. If you go into what they call the Rechat structure, it goes back to 10,000 years ago, the exact time that even Noble Drew Ali said. Now, how he got all this information, you know, it's crazy that a lot of the stuff that he said was accurate, and he didn't even have science backing him, so to speak. You know, scientists telling him this. So that's where the flood would have come from, brother. But I said, like I said, everybody had that same story, and that's good enough for me to know that if everybody's saying the same thing in the court of law, you guilty. You know, so
all right, thank y'all, man. Thank y'all, sisters, for letting me ask a couple questions.
Yes, sir. And gratitude for the questions, brother.
Peace to the God.
Peace.
Hey, listen, man, get with OTK.
Huh?
Get with OTK.
Okay.
Hey, Anton. Okay, so you know, okay. So I had asked Darvis this question earlier, Commission. So either one of you can answer this, but I would love to hear your point of view after this, Commission. Okay, so when talking about the historicity of the term Moor, right, in ancient times, I noticed that many Moors will reference somewhere in North Africa, right? Similar to like what you had mentioned, Commission. Like you mentioned the Moorish, Berbers, Mauritania, and all of those places, however, are in North Africa, right? And you also mentioned in the DNA test, and that your DNA test proved, I guess, your Moorish identity or your Moorish heritage, okay? So what's interesting, though, to me is that considering that all those places are in North Africa, when quote unquote Black Americans take the DNA test over here, majority of the test results overwhelmingly come back as West African, not North African, right? So that's a fact, right? 9 times out of 10, if you take a DNA test and those test results come back, it'll point you to somewhere in West Africa, not North Africa, right? So my question then is, so how do you know who's a Moor and who's not? It can't just be that, oh, well, it was mentioned, look at Mauritania or the Berbers, right? That's all in North Africa. But most of people's DNA test results, when it comes back to oh, where are you from? And that motherland never goes to North Africa. It goes to West Africa. There's a disconnect. So how do we know who's authentically Moor and who's not? Because according to the DNA test, it doesn't come back as Egypt. It don't come back as Mauritania. It usually won't come back as Libyan or any of those North African nations or region. It's always in the West.
Okay.
So
you ready for me to answer your question,
Yes.
Queen? Okay.
Yes.
Now, first and foremost, what we have to understand is that you got to look at migrations, right? The North Africans are the ones that inhabited West Africa as well as East Africa. You're talking about pushing from the top coming down, because that's how a divergence goes. They came from that particular region, the furthest east, and they actually migrated across the Sahara. Remember I was mentioning earlier through the mid-plain, if you were to draw a line through Africa. So that would go all the way from not only the east, but all the way over into the west. And the marker is what we call L3 or E1B1A, which all of us have in us. And that E1B1A L3 was first found over here in 1453 in Mexico. And this is actually said to be a Moor. You see? So from that area, when you get into the west coast of Africa, and us coming from there, we came from there because that's where the slave trade pretty much, ended up at. So the Syra people, for example, they are known as the Damanco Moors. These were the main people that were taken, that were called Moors from there and brought over here. And that same gene that I was telling you, the L3 or the E1B1A, is intermingled. So there's an admixture. So most
from, I'm sorry, Commission, not to break your wisdom, just for clarity. You said that they brought them from over there to here, specifically what region?
That's right. It's called the door of no return. It's the tip. It's called Dakar. That's D-A-K-A.
So that's on the West Coast, right? Okay, got it.
Yes. That's what a slave thing. But it was more too, I want to mention, that came from the Congo region. Some came from the lower aspects of, even, the southern portions of Africa, you see, but there's still a connection to that region in East Africa, the Sudanic region, because Kush is really the true seat, of that essence, so to speak, and like I say, the Libyans, or what you call Libyans, like some people like to refer to as Put. These went into the Somalian region. They were known, these are actually the ones that became the darkest of what they call the Black Arabians. People like to use that terminology. In Yemen, they from the Seba, the Sabians. These are that people. But there are also those who went up into the area Put that was referred to as Libya. And those Libyan North African Moors are the ones that ended up becoming the precursor, of Mari. It was these that became the establishers of Carthage. And migrating all the way over, it is these that inhabited Mauritania, which is West Africa. So when you see that seed that pushed down in the southern region, you get into what we call the Senegambia. This is where your Tuaregs and your Moors and all of those end up being gestated. And that's why I was saying, though they started in the north, they spread it all the way into the west. And this is why you see some of us with those traces. Maybe not all of us if you come from the southern region. If your bloodline comes from South Africa, you may not have as much as I got like 85% sub-Saharan West African in me. I don't have little to no Neanderthal, a very small percentage. It just ain't there. And they said that my DNA was rare. It actually contributed. So it need to be more, basically more people need to share DNA in order for them to even have more information on my DNA, is what they told me when I got my results. But they just gave me the base that the mother, the maternal, was 280,000 years old. It started in the Sudan, and my paternal as well was pretty old, and it started in the Sudan. So Sudan, meaning some people call it Kush, some people call it Abyssinia, Nubia, whatever term you want to use for the time period. But that's where they started at, and they migrated into the West. And science even proves this. Like I was talking about the Atlantis Mauritanians. It shows those markers, Sister Dot.
Okay. So what you're saying is that it's because of migration. right?
Yes.
That,
Yes.
okay. I'm okay.
Mhm.
My final piece. Just lost my damn train of thought. Okay. Darvis was mentioning the flood and the artifacts that was found under the ocean, right? Under the on the ocean floor. What evidence, and I guess Darvis, this question is to you, Commission, you can feel free to jump in, but what evidence do you have to prove that what was found under the water are actual Moorish artifacts? How do you know that?
All right, cool. I never said it was Moorish artifacts, but I said it was proof of a flood. Now, I'm not an archaeologist, so I'm not going to assume to be that. I said that to prove that there was a flood. That's it. For the DNA thing, or like the king was saying, I don't know enough about that, so I'm not going to answer none of those kind of questions because I don't know about it. I know a little bit from what I learned from 111 Truth and from AB TV, but I'm not really astute in that field. So I'm not going to sit there and say nothing that's not accurate or that I don't know about. So I'm going to fall back from that question.
Okay. Okay. I'll stop there. Anton, how are you? I don't know if Nish or Anton, you want to jump in? Freedom. Anton.
Hey, Tom,
Hey, you
did you
guys,
want
you
to go?
guys,
Hey,
you
time.
guys go ahead. I'm creating I'm doing some research real quick. Let me pull some stuff up. Go ahead, you guys go ahead.
Just quick question, real quick, just to what I
Wait,
mean.
hold on. If no one else is gonna go, I want to ask Commission a question real quick.
Well, I wanted to ask the question, but
Yes, Sister Freedom, go ahead. You go first.
well, I just wanted to. I'm kind of confused about something because, all right, I like what Commission was saying about the different way of saying the different names. I still don't see how it got all the way over here because the only way, Commission, that I could see that we are part of the Moors is if the Africans came over here and intertwined with us sexually, had children by us, and those children would become half Moors or something. First of all, you're saying that that the natives called that you saying the North Africans or the North Afriques, because they didn't have that name. Africa, Africa only had that name since like the late 1700s going into the 1800s. So I'm still confused on that. So it was a different name. The more what did you say the name was? Commission Marines, What'd you say the name was?
Yeah, they called themselves Mari. That's Mauri.
They did, because in my
Yes,
teaching,
ma'am. They call themselves Mari.
well, in my teachings, it was always that was the name that I guess like the enemy was calling them that.
No,
That
the
was
enemy adopted that name into their own language, but they actually had their own word for it. The Romans took it and started calling them Marus and Moros and all of that. But they actually, the name of the natives called themselves Mari. And as
okay.
far as
That
the
was just
African
for the
aspect,
Muslims. That
I
wasn't just for
use
the Muslims.
Africa because, that's what our people referring to.
Yeah.
The actual name of the continent is Akibalan. And even that name come from Kemet and can be
Right. That's
traced
a
back to
skinny
the
name.
Hebrew language and the Arabic language as well. Go ahead, sister.
No, but what I'm saying is
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't a name that was just on the Muslims, because
No, sir. That was a name that exists before Islam, before the Muslims ever came into existence. The Mari, before Islam, the Mari believed in Amun Ra. And that's another proof that they got their teachings from Kemet. They call themselves the Moorish gods. So what happened when Islam came in? You know better, Sister Freedom. The Muslim wasn't finna call them that. They were calling themselves the Moorish gods. So Orthodox Muslim,
remember
when
the
they come in,
Sabians, you got to keep in mind the Sabians were even before, you know what I mean? It was different things way before we even got to Uthman.
right? And the
I'm just saying.
Sabians were also known as Meru, the Meru Sabians. You see,
Um,
Meru Sabah is what they call them. Go ahead, sister.
But if that's way over there, I'm still trying to figure out the people over
How
here.
they get here?
Yeah, they were different type of people.
Yeah, well, what happens is, like I said, in what we call the slave trade, the Demarco Moors is what they call them, right? They were took from what we call Senegal. If you know about the slave trade, because see, a lot of people like to say our people wasn't into slavery. I beg to differ. There were some of us that were brought here, but some of us were already here prior to them coming here. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So some of us were indigenous. Go ahead, sister.
I'm sorry, I get interrupt you because I mentally got confused there because that slave trade thing ain't never going to be right in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, people have their opinion.
Not because there's no way that no one's going to make me believe that they have 300 and 400 people in a boat chained up at the bottom of a boat for a 90-day trip. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I got evidence of it though.
But who gave them water? Who fed them? And where they used the bathroom?
But a lot of them, it tell you in history, they defecated on themselves, and a lot of them died.
But yeah, the majority of them would have died. There's
a lot of them died.
Could live through that. They've been that sick that they would have died.
Right. So the world's greatest treasure hunter, I knew his son, Sister Freedom, Mel Fisher, down here in Florida in Key West. His daddy died looking for the lost city of Atlantis, right? But he found about 3 or 4 ships. You know, the Henrietta Marie, the San Maria, and the Pinta. You know, and all of this is in our history down here. Mel Fisher found this, and he found the shackles and the chains. His son, Kane Fisher, you know, that I met, he told me, and they got this in the museum. They also have it on some of our slave sites, like the Slave Voyager site. That's from Mel Fisher. It has the shackles and the chains from adults to the babies. I only heard of it until I seen it, you know, so to speak, you know, being shown. And so that's the proof of the slavery. And also, you know, they were looking for treasure when they found these ships.
Where did he find the boats?
They were down here in Florida, off the coast of, you know, the Keys, you know, in the Atlantic. You know, he went out there diving. Like I said, his daddy died looking for the lost city of Atlantis. That's what he told me, you know. But
I don't
I'm
know
saying
where they got these slaves from. I just don't think they got them from Africa.
Well, they didn't bring them all at one time. They took a bit at a time. You know, all of us, like I said, all of us didn't come on the slave ship, though, Sister Freedom. All of us didn't come on.
Enslaved the people that was already on these lands, but you know that's here nor there. I'm still saying if the people that were Moors were over in Africa and these people were here, they're their own people. That's just like saying that if the Moors went over into India, that's not going to make them Moors. If the Moors went over into Europe, that's not making the people Moors.
Let me ask you a question, right?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's cool. I want to ask you a question, Sister Freedom.
If we're over here different people and the Moors is over there, just because they come over here don't make us Moors.
Sister Freedom, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If I were to bring a acacia tree, right, from Africa, you know, some people call it the sycamore or whatever the case may be, right? And they called that tree by something else in Africa. And it was brought over here into the Americas, right? Would that make that tree not an acacia, sycamore tree, so to speak? If we called it by some other name, let's just say if we called it a cherry tree.
I'm not talking about the name. I'm talking about the actual people, and I'm talking about the actual tree. If that's what you want to say, that tree would be, but that don't mean that all the flowers and all the trees around it is what that tree is.
Listen to what I'm saying, Sister Freedom. I ain't even against what you're saying. I'm trying to get you to see it from 2 different aspects. Okay. I'm trying to get you to see it from the standpoint of those who were brought here, right, and those who came here prior to those who were brought here. You know, whether you look at it either way. That term, as far as dealing with us being referred to as Moors, exists in their European law. They called us that. You see, and this is in the 1740 Acts. This is why Abraham Lincoln made distinctions this is case law. Well, you can go and look it up. When he was defending one of our people, he said that he is a Moor, but not a Negro. You understand? This Abraham Lincoln defending people.
Yeah, because that was my next question.
It's about Black Bill or something like that, right?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Sister.
I'm just saying, if we was Moors,
And can I ask a question after
or
this one?
something that's similar to the word Moor,
Mhm.
why would our name? Why couldn't we just stay Moors then? Why did the name have to go from Negro, from Moor to Indian to Negro, the colored, the black, the African? Why they have to go through all them names?
That's a good question.
If they know that we're Moors,
that's a good question, Queen. You got to remember, we didn't put them labels on ourselves. You see, it was the European that started calling us black. It was the European that then started calling us Negroes and color. None of them titles came from us. But I'm speaking of what the natives had called themselves. And the natives of, that country, when they were brought over here, they were referred to in that time as Moors. And even them in earlier times used that name. But they knew that they had to get rid of that name because that name ties us to this land. So look at it like this. If a name make us indigenous to this land, that give us claim to the land. So the enemy will do everything in their power to keep us away from that name and give us other names outside of that name. And so that's where the black and the Negro and the color come in at. And that's why the confusion is as it is today.
Dulcie, I'm so sorry. Dulcie, can I?
It wouldn't seem, Commission, like it would tie us to this land. It seemed like that would tie us to Africa, but not this land. It would seem like the name that would tie us to the land here would be the name that we originally had over here, not a name that we got way over yonder and make it tie us to a land over here. It just.
I got a question for you.
Wait, hold on. I think Dobbs was going to go.
No, I'm going to be real. I'm going to be real quick, Dulcie. Thank you for your patience. Because I was thinking something similarly to what Freedom just said, right? Because based on what I'm hearing you say, Commission, Moors are not indigenous to the Americas, right? They would be indigenous to Africa, the continent that is Africa, because that's where it started. So what claims or ties would a Moor have to American soil if
that's the same question as this?
Right. If Moor's identity, right, their origins are in Africa, technically you would have no ties to American land or American soil.
Okay, let me answer that for you, Queen. As I stated earlier, and I want to make this plain again, there were those who were here before those who were brought here. Moors are indigenous to the planet, Queen. Don't let nobody tell you no different. When I say that, I'm using the Moor as a blanket term. In other words, that's the most ancient name. Even those who were indigenous here were called Moors. If you go back into the record, I got proof of this. I done showed this actually on this channel before a while back. The people that were called the Indian Moors, the Moors, which were the indigenous Moors. Indian is a term that actually came from Christopher Columbus, to be honest with you. But the original Indians were referred to as being Moors. And so this is why I'm telling you, there were those who were indigenous here and those who were brought here. In fact, when you go into the teachings of those who were in what we call Europe today, the book by David McRitchie, Ancient and Modern Britain, that particular book, he tells you that the original Moors, even the Indians, were of our stock, meaning the melanated people. This is a European talking this here. They say that they come from us, like the Merovingians that people talk about now. The original Merovingians were the Moors in that land. These terms that they later come up with, like black and white, were statuses. So, for example, if you was on the bottom in society, they called you black. No matter what your color was, you could have been what they call pale-skinned European. You was called black, right? But it's the same as well when you go into the white term. The term white was a term of status that meant you was on top. You could have been as dark as us. But if you were the ruling authority in society, they called you white, part self. So these were status things that were created later, and the Europeans adopted those terms here in the West. So when they call themselves white, they're simply saying that they are the rulers and the superiors in this land. If we would have been on top from the European standpoint, we would have been considered that. That's why if you go into the teachings of Africa, if y'all familiar with the teachings of the Orisha, Obatala was called the purest or the white one. Didn't have nothing to do with your flesh. It had to do with your God status. You understand? So our ancestors taught that. That's why Noble Drew Ali said white mean purity, purity mean God, God mean the rule of the land. But still, that's a status. That's a description. But more, on the other hand, is what attach us, like I say, to the land. Because that's what we were called. That goes back to not only Africa. The only wedge between that is the Mari term evolving into the term Moor. The word Mari, African term, gave birth to the word Moor as we know it today. And that's the term that everybody was referred to before they start calling us black, Negro, color. I got Bibles where they actually had a Hebrew word, and they'll tell you that the word Ethiopian meant more. You see what I'm saying? And they spelled it M-O-R. So, I mean, we got various sources to prove this, but you can't prove that with no other word. So there I land my plane. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Dulcie.
Thank you. So I wanted to start with Prophet Noble Drew Ali in the Circle 7. So when there's the speech I think he had about fallen humanity, is that correct? In the Circle 7?
Yes, that's right. You talking about the fall of man? Or you talking
Yes,
about when
and he has a symbol as far as the nobleman holding up a woman.
Holding up the woman, that's right.
Did he get that symbol, or is that later introduced through the MSTA?
Yeah, he was the one that brought that. It's always been on the cover of the questionnaire. Even the oldest one. I used to have one of the oldest questionnaires. It was in wax paper, and he was stepping out of the water, onto the solid ground, what we call the cares of the world. The water represent the cares of the world, and he was stepping on solid ground, which has salvation there. And that's symbolic to the book of Revelation. That's him being the seventh angel.
Well, as far as that symbol, it's the Grandeza Azteca, and Jesus Herrera did a rendition of it as well in 1946. Is there any reason it's not said as far as all the Mexican influences over the Circle 7 as much as it talks about the Asiatics and Kemet when they're using these Mexican symbols?
Well, to be honest with you, you say 1946, and Noble Drew Ali was here in 1926, when he introduced that questionnaire. So that would have been, 20 years prior to the brother you're referring to. But
right, that's a colonizer that would have done a rendition of it in 1946.
Yeah, a rendition of it in their own way.
Because the original is going to be located in Mexico, the Grandeza Azteca.
I see what you're saying. You're saying somebody else came with. Okay, so what I'm saying is that when Noble Drew Ali came with that symbol, he really was coming out of the book of Revelation. And in regards to dealing with that particular symbol, there are connections of the Moors. He mentioned the Moors when he tell you who all the Moors are right there in our teaching, in the chapter dealing with the Asiatic nation. He tell you the Mexicans, the people of Chile, San Salvador, all of these people are Moors. He say that there. And so he was using that as a generic term, so to speak. And that means simply a blanket statement of referring to all people, even the ancients, just like we use the word black now, pretty much. Noble Drew Ali used the word Moor the way that we use the word black. Like if we see the people in Kemet, we say, that's a black people right there. They was black. Noble Drew Ali used that word Moor as a blanket term for all of our people. But yeah, that was where he got it from, the book of Revelations, Queen. Seventh angel is what it symbolizes.
So
okay, I get. Oh, Nisha, yeah, go.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just wondering. So Noble Drew Ali got it from the book of Revelations, which predates the Moors, right?
Yeah, you can say that, because that would have been about 2,000 years old, according to where they attest the book of Revelation coming from.
But
the symbolism, though, of, he was basically referring to himself as the seventh angel, because a lot of our teaching is symbolic, as well. And he was an adept, so he demonstrated. You got to remember, our people didn't know nothing but the Bible when Noble Drew Ali started talking about this stuff. They didn't know nothing about Kemet and Egypt, and all they knew was the Bible. And so the circle 7 is the 18 missing years of the life of Jesus. And he taught from that because he knew where our people were at the time. That in order to raise them out of that, he got to raise them up from what they was. So he said, "We keep your Moors, keep your Bible, don't throw it away. I'm gonna use it to condemn the Europeans." And so we had 18 missing years of the life of Jesus. That's all the circle 7 is. What is not in the Bible, though, the circle 7 is just the 18 missing years of the life of Jesus when he was in Egypt, and he was being taught, raised up, in Egypt, him and
In
John.
India also.
In India also, that's right, brother. And Europe, he went into those lands. Go ahead.
I'm good. I was just thinking about something. Go ahead. I'll ask another question in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I wanted to have a follow-up of the revelations because I'm familiar with the serpents or dragons, the lady in the purple dress that they call the destruction, and there's definitely secretism in that.
Yes,
but there
ma'am.
is no man holding a woman in Revelation. So what
That's correct.
scripture are they saying that the Grandeza Azteca is based on?
Oh, well, that's the one where it says, I beheld one angel that placed his foot on the land and one foot in the water. That's where he took that symbolism from in the book of Revelation. This is the 7th angel. If you go look that up, you can Google it real quick. And that's the symbolism that he was using, that he was the 7th angel, coming forth, breaking the 7th seal. And it all goes in line with the circle 7. And so that's why he draw from that aspect. So that's what a symbolism of coming out of the water, which, like I said, on the front page, you'll see the cares of the world, representing the water, and then the land represents salvation, and the woman has humanity written on her, over her stomach, which is he's uplifting fallen humanity. That's what that was symbolic to. No nation can rise higher than its woman.
Yeah. Anton, are you ready?
Got that right.
Anton?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Go ahead, you got it.
So, all right, peace to the sisters. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Darvis, what's going on, my brother? Cosmo and Cal.
Peace, God.
Peace.
Peace. All right, so I put some links in the chat. I'm not going to read all through them. We just going to capsulize everything because I want to touch on this word more. And I'm going to correlate that with actual present people that are utilized in that form. And let's go from there. Now, the first link, we don't have to, you can click on it if you don't want to, but these are all just simple things I want to pull up real quick just to get some basics, right? So when you're dealing with Mauritania, right, and the Maori people, right, these people are originally what you would call Berbers that came from somewhere else. They didn't originate in West Africa. They actually came from somewhere else. When you actually look up the people of Mauritania, right, the people of Mauritania are what you consider to be predominantly Moors. They call them Moors. There's white Moors and there's black Moors. I'm going to pause right there. So, Darvis and Kamisha, do you guys have any disagreements with that so far?
No disagreement at all. You have what you call the Al-Haritan, and you have the Al-Badi, Abidin.
That's right.
The Bidan is the white Moors, and the Haritans are the black Moors, and the black Moors are being enslaved right now to this day by the white Moors,
exactly.
who falsely use the term Moor, by the way. Go ahead, brother.
Cool. All right. So, also what we have, there was just this other link in every culture that actually depicted that, what you just said. So, but it actually speaks of them predominantly before it was Mauritania, it was the Maghreb, and basically the Romans at that time, which gave them that name, Moorish. Basically, we know the Romans at that time were basically were pretty much conquered and pretty much, assimilated with the Carthaginians, or what you call the Phoenicians, right, during Hannibal's ancestors' time. So just going to get some clarity. Now, the one thing I want to correlate it with was the term Caucasian. And Cosmo, I think he heard me talk about this. I kind of hammered this home. And it also goes along with what we see today in Standard Form 128 when it talks about ethnicity and origins, right? So when you're dealing with Caucasian people, those locations that you mentioned, right, Commission, are considered to be Caucasian people. Now, if you want to pull up that Wikipedia Caucasian link, sisters, we can, so you can actually see it. You know, because this is key. You see what I'm saying? Because, you know, you talk about they originated in West Africa when they didn't. They actually came from somewhere else, which considered in the Caucasus Mountains, in the Caucasus areas. They were not in West Africa. They weren't even in North Africa. They were nowhere in Africa at that time. So just to do your basic research. I'm gonna go quick. So I put these in order, right? Now, Commission Darvis, did you guys know there was actually a Maori people, indigenous people in New Zealand, what you would call the Tongans, the Samoans? They're actually their origins, their name Maori, Maori. Did you guys know about them?
Yes, sir. And they also are related to the Maori, the Mauri.
Okay.
And I'm talking about the indigenous ones because I actually have some of their DNA in my lineage. And they're as dark as ever, melanated. But
so
question.
Let me hold on.
I'm gonna let you go, but you said that I
let me
referred to some places. What places are you referring to that I referred to? I'm just trying to get clear.
Well, you referred to places in Asia. You had mentioned India. Those places are still considered to be Asiatic areas. You mentioned West Africa, North Africa. You mentioned those areas.
And you say them Caucasians, right?
Them are Caucasians by
Okay,
definition.
I'm gonna speak when you go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
All right, cool.
Go
So
ahead.
let me talk about the Maori people, right? So these are Polynesian people, right? So these people basically, let me go here. Where is it at?
Share your screen, bro.
I can't share my screen. I'm on my phone. I got the links in the back though.
Did you put it in the back?
Yeah, it's in the back. Yeah.
Dots, can you pull it? So I'll pull it up for him if he can you go in the back?
Which one, Anton, which one?
You'll see the Wikipedia, the one that says
Caucasian.
Maor. Let's go with the Maori one first, and then we'll go to Caucasian. You'll see it.
The Wikipedia one?
Yep. Yep, and then we'll go to the one that says history.
All right, I shared it. Let me know when you see it, Freedom.
Okay.
Right.
Wait a minute. All right. Not very big, but
yeah. I just want you guys to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So these people, right? These people have connections with a lot of different areas as well, kind of the similar areas where the Caucasians were as well. They say Egypt, Northwest Africa, Europe. They have these different connections with that. So I'm not disagreeing with you, Commission. I'm agreeing with you. I just want people to see it. You know what I'm saying? I just want people to see that. Now,
wait, see what? Because I'm confused, Anton. What are you trying? What are you trying? What do you want us to see? I don't understand.
Well, because he spoke specifically about this word, Moor, right, and how it derived, right. But what I'm saying is that he's leaving stuff out, right, and he's trying to make it an African thing when it's not. You see what I'm saying? It's not African at all, in the form of what we consider to be what African is, right? What it is if you want to relate it to Northwest Africa, it is Caucasian in nature. So what you can do is you could take that one down, and then go to the back and pull up the Wikipedia on Caucasian. See, because you know, the only thing that what I'm trying to get across to you guys and get across to chat is that this misrepresentation of Moor is something that creates a conflict amongst even the Moors. You see what I'm saying? I got plenty of Moor partners. You know what I'm saying? I rock with them every day. We talk every day, but there's an understanding that I'm gonna get. We're gonna tip it off with Queen Mu and Prince Maya. We're gonna end it off with them two. But when you go to Caucasian, right?
Freedom, I shared it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So when you go to Caucasian, it pretty much tells you where the Caucasians actually originate from. These are their areas. Central Asia, South Asia, Europe, Western Asia, North Africa, and the Horn of Africa. Now, I mean, what is considered to be the Horn of Africa? Can anybody tell me?
That's Eastern Africa.
Right. Give me one location.
Ancient Punt, Somalia, Ethiopia, Aksum.
Right. Okay. Now, and it says in here, not all Caucasians are white. They're not all pale skinned. Some Caucasians are dark skinned. So I'm just making some clarity on this thing, right?
Mm.
So I just want to bring it through. You know, y'all can go through this later. Now, the other thing is go Dodge, go to the back and pull up Queen Mu. The Wikipedia.
Wait, hold up.
Mu.
I'm sorry. I'm confused, Anton. You got to walk with me.
too.
Back this up. I'm a little confused. Where in this article, it says, it starts out by saying the Caucasian race is an obsolete racial classification of humans based on a now disproven theory of biological race. Okay, we know that. And then I guess it talks about, let's see, the historical race classifications that was used. But I'm not sure where it says that Caucasian does not also means it doesn't just mean white people. I'm confused about what
Go to the next paragraph, sis. Go to the bottom of the next paragraph. It says ancient and modern Caucasoid populations, right?
Which paragraph? I don't see it.
The last sentence in the second paragraph. It says ancient and modern Caucasoid.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
That's the second paragraph, sis.
Okay, here's the second paragraph. Yes.
Ancient and modern Caucasoid populations were thus not exclusively white, but ranged in complexion from white skin to dark brown.
Okay.
Scary.
Now, see, so I'm just throwing these out there. Now let's move on because I want to get to Queen Mu and I want to get to Prince Maya.
But when you talk about that, excuse me, Dots, you know
yes,
you're talking about Arabs.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to go too deep because, you know, I just want to kind of bring some little points. I want to go quick. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to take up any time.
Okay.
I just want to hit these quick links. You know what I'm saying? And then we can dialogue. You know what I mean? I just want to put this out there because this Moor situation, he said the MR, we're going to talk about the MU. Mu. Queen Mu. MOO, Queen Mu. And what was she about?
So you want me to pull that up now too? This one
yes,
on Queen Mu? All right, hold on.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Now I'm just going to, because when you're dealing with Wikipedia, the only real truth that you will catch in it is pretty much the first paragraph, and then everybody puts their conjectures in after that. You can find bits and pieces, but we're just going with the basic common, what they consider to be facts, and it's pretty much a description. Now, here's what they do with Queen Mu, right? With Queen Mu, they says a mythical Mayan queen. So if it's mythical, right? But in the next paragraphs, they say, well, there's steles, there's carvings, and there's all this and all that. So it's not mythical, it's real. And I've heard Top Cat talk about it, and plenty of other people talk about Queen Mu. So you got Queen Mu as a mythical Mayan queen, right? So when you go down here, I have my little bookmark on mine. I'm looking at yours. But
Okay.
there's a yeah, it's in this first paragraph. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there it is. Where it says Augustus Le Plongeon believed that Queen Mu was a historical Mayan queen, so on and so forth. Right. So you got right here where you got it was found in Chichen Itza. He asserted that Mu and her husband Prince Ko, also known as Chak Mu, were the inspirations for Isis and Osiris. Queen Mu was the eldest daughter of King Kanchi and Queen Zak. She was desired such and such. Prince Ko and Prince Ak, she chose Ko as her mate, and Prince Ak killed him in jealous rage. After Prince died, Queen Mu fled to seek refuge in the land of Mu, also known as Atlantis. When she reached the location, I'm on my phone. When she reached the location where it was once she found that the civilization had disappeared, so she made her way to Egypt. That's all I want to read right there. Now it's mythical, but we all know that the Mayans and the Mu, and you want to do the play on words and the vowels and so on and so forth, it's right there. So you got Queen Mu, O, and you got Queen Mu in Mu. So that is your root word of what you will call MU''URS, Mu'ers. So it's right here in America, people. It's not in Africa. It ended up in Africa on a long trek all the way around to West Africa. Now, the last one is, if you don't mind, the last one is the one on Maya, mother of the Buddha. So, you know, he mentioned India, he mentioned these areas. So these last two basically are pretty much putting his geographics and connected to that name in the wrong area. It might have ended up there later down the line, but it originated in America. You see what I'm saying? And there's writings about that. And this is what they always do with the ancient Americas, is they turn all of our history and all of our people into mythological people who somehow disappeared. I land right there.
Okay. And I'll say this in reference to what you were referring to. Brother, can you put that source you had up there when you were speaking of the Caucasian real quick back up? Just briefly.
Yeah, Dot's got to do that for you.
Yeah. Can you share that real quick, Dots? And I'm basically going to ask him the same thing that you asked him, just with a little more emphasis on it.
Okay.
Because I seen a date of 1780. You know, when they start using this terminology, Caucasian, you know, and he said that the Moors was Caucasian, you know, so if this is the case, then this word Caucasian should predate, you know, the word Moor then, correct? So when we look at these terms, see where it states there's an obsolete meaning they don't use it no more. And
that's conjecture.
That's conjecture.
That's conjecture.
Now it says it isn't, but this is your source. Let me speak, brother. I'll let you speak. So it says it is an obsolete racial classification of humans based on now disproven theory of biological race. See, and then it goes into describing that the Caucasian race was historically regarded as a biological taxon, which depended on which of the historical race classification was being used. Now, when it goes into this and it says that included ancient and modern populations for all parts of Europe and West Africa since Africa, this is what we call the Hermetic hypothesis, good brother. Now, somebody with the trained eye would know this. You see, the Hermetic hypothesis deal with when the European tried to make things in chemic Caucasoid. They tried to make everything Caucasoid. In fact, so much so, I have a book where they called us a beast. And it's talking about the book of Revelation. They say we didn't come off a human being. We came off the boat with Noah as a beast. We was the ape. And that all ties into the same philosophy with the Darwinism, scientific racism, and all that, good brother. So you got to be careful what you cite. Now, I want to share my screen briefly, Sister Dot. Let me show this briefly.
Let me respond to that, sir. Let me respond.
Brother, let me finish as you did.
Let me respond.
Let me finish as you did. I didn't respond.
Okay, Anton, hold it. Let him finish. Anton, he was very patient. Just let him finish, and then you can.
He's about to move the goalpost. That's what he's about to do. He's
moving. No, I
didn't.
Okay, but he has 1 second. 1 second. Just let him finish.
Well,
let him finish.
I'll bring you back over here to my Wikipedia. I'll bring you back.
Yes, sir. And I'm all is well, brother. You know, I listened to you patiently.
No, it's all good.
And you rebutted me. That's cool. I'm not upset with that. That's all right. I'm just finna show you what I have. Now I'm gonna share my screen over here, family. Briefly, it ain't gonna take me long, but I'm gonna definitely be strong with this special demonstration. So can y'all see that?
Not
anything yet?
1 second.
Okay.
No, that's not it, Freedom.
I think we shared now. Y'all see that?
Can you enlarge it some?
Yes. Is that large? Is that large?
Okay, we can see a little better now.
Okay, yeah. So this says the word Caucasian was first used in 1668, right? But was introduced as a racial category 1780s, which going back to the same date that the brothers' information gave, by members of the Godwin School of History. Scientific racism origin comes straight from here. All this go back to the Darwinism and all of that. The term, which originally referred to the people who live in the Caucasus region, which is now part of Russia. There you go. 18th century German anatomist, John Frederick Blumenbach, who came up with what we call these classifications: black, red, white, and again, here it is, the term to describe white people, a derogatory racial classification system. Blumenbach believed that the people of Caucasus was the ideal form of humanity created in God's image. So all of this here, brother, it also says he thought that the Europeans originated in the Caucasus Mountains and used the term to contrast people of European descent with Asians and Africans. See, you got to be careful, good brother. You can't change this because this is history. This is science. Blumenbach's system of racial classification was adopted in the United States to justify racial discrimination, including slavery. So that kills, the Caucasian, like I call it, Hermetic hypothesis. It's scientific racism.
It kills it, huh?
Now, hold up. So the term Moor, as I stated, will have to be older than Caucasian. The term Moor, it states, the term Moor is a late antique medieval, and they say Western European usage, right? To indicate the dark-skinned North Africans of Arab or Berber origin, who were responsible for the invasion of Spain in 711 CE and the establishment of this flourishing Islamic culture, which lasted from the 8th through the 15th century. Now, do you know what an Arab looked like in that era in time, good brother? Because when you go to the history of Prophet Muhammad, the true Arabs were known as the Sabians. And so this is right around the time, maybe 100 and some years after Prophet Muhammad. And those who were of the original pure stock are melanated as ever. And our brother Dr. John Henry Clark told us it was not the Arabs who went into West Africa. In fact, the Arabs, the pale-skinned Arabs, ended up getting in a conflict with the Moors. And it was Ibn Zayd who ran them pale-skinned Arabs back over into Arabia. So the Arabs never really made it into the West until later. And it was the Moors in the West, like our brother John Henry Clark said, the dark Moors, the Al-Haritan, they like to call them now. But it was these Moors who didn't even deal with Al-Islam. They were dealing with Sufism. They were dealing with the mystic teaching. They weren't dealing with the Sharia. So you got to understand this history. If you don't, you'll make a big mistake. So just on that alone, the term Moor predates the word Caucasian. So how can the Moors be Caucasian, brother? I'm going to stop right there, and I got more. But that's the question we want to ask, because you really got to bring it after that.
No, I don't. But I would say this. Now, in the what you read in the Caucasian Wikipedia, you try to flip it upside down. You're not talking to a juvenile, man. So what I'm saying is that what qualified is that it says it is an obsolete term. Now, let me tell you why it's not obsolete. Because Joe Biden just referred himself to as a Caucasian European not too long ago. He and most of these Europeans that you see on here, on these TVs and all that stuff, they call themselves Caucasian people. So it's not old. It's not obsolete. It is still being used by them. Now, number two, right? You try to read it and say I need to be careful, but it just said in that second paragraph that it's not considered to be all white people. They're dark-skinned Caucasians as well. Now, I would say something to that Moorish and that Mauritania. That wasn't your guys' name. You guys were called Berbers, and the Romans labeled you Moorish, gave you that title, just like a black or a nigger. You see what I'm saying? So you can't flip it on me. You got to get to the facts, brother. And what you just read, you talking about what was they called before that? Of course they was called something else. That Moorish was a byword. That wasn't even a people. And see, and this is where we have the problems at. You know what I'm saying? Because I talk to a lot of Moors, they don't agree with nothing you saying. So, you know what I'm saying? This is going into this West African slave trade, ancient Kemet type conversation. You mix it in, and it's some nasty gumbo. You know what I'm saying? All I'm doing is I'm putting the facts out there. Those are facts, right? Like I said, Standard Form 128 says specifically who are considered white people. People in North Africa, Europe, and different other places. You see what I'm saying? So, and it also said in the thing that they were black Moors in Mauritania and white Moors, which makes my point of what the Caucasian Wikipedia said. They're dark skinned and they're considered to be white Moors. There's black Moors and there's white Moors. But even you're dealing with white and black, you're dealing with interchangeable things. That means they're the same people. There's some that's lighter skinned, there's some that darker skinned. That's it, and that's all. Now, what you have not
Wait, hold on. Before Aton, and before you guys go back and forth, because I think you are making a good. Hold on, Aton, because you are making a good point. Because we do know, as far as that Moors do use the white status, there are a lot of people that actually redefine and classify themselves as white because it is an accepted class, and we know as far as Caucasian when it's coming in, but that is a Caucasian status as to date, currently, the white status. But just going back kind of
but Caucasians are not white though.
And I understand originally it wasn't that. But today. So when people are using it today as far as claiming their white status, the Moors do claim their white status today.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. But when you look up the term free white person, a white person is not the Caucasians.
Well, we're just talking about what you check in the box today. It's not going to give a free white person when you're checking that box on the census today. So we understand.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the definition of it.
But before we go back, as far as, because I don't want to go there, we understand that would be its origins, but we're talking about what you're checking on the box today. So someone that is checking the white status would not see a free white person today on the census, but they still use it today and they check that status. I wanted to go back because when it was talking about Queen Mu and just different Kemet, because that kind of goes back to my question that you were saying as far as the Bible is more of Noble Drew Ali's source material. But even when you go to that seventh seal and the angel, that angel's not holding a woman. And we only see that in Mexico. So there's other symbols as well that we're seeing that are tied to Mexico within the Circle 7 and Noble Drew Ali, not even to mention as far as that he had his Cherokee card. So do you know as far as when the influence of Pan-African came in, as far as it to be overwhelmingly Kemetic, even though a lot of the symbols are from Mexico and he was Cherokee?
Sister Dulcinea, in response to that, right? Like I said, I agree with what you're saying, right? But I was giving you just being practical, to not conflate what was being said and just give it to you how it's being taught. a lot of the symbolism of Prophet Noble Drew Ali not only come from Maya in the Adept chambers, but also from Kemet. You got to look at it. Circle 7 speaks on Buddhism. It speaks on Hinduism. It speaks on Islam. It speaks on Judaism. So that's a book that's really dealing with schools of thought from many different areas. So in the teachings
from my understanding, it doesn't speak on Mexico, does it?
Yes, it does. That's what I was telling you. It say the Mexicans are Moors in our teachings. Yes, it does.
In the circle, inside of
in
the
circle 7. Yep.
Yeah,
In the origins of the Asiatic nation, it say that the Mexicans, in fact, the word Mexico is from the word Old Mex.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a connection to the word, what we say when we say a Mexum.
A Mexum.
Old Mex and a Mex is actually in connection to each other. So,
Come back home,
I'm with you on that, Queen. So it's not strange that you bringing that out as far as the symbolism of him lifting up. Because just like when he placed his hand over his heart, that's an ancient Egyptian symbol. But this is adept stuff that he was demonstrating openly, because he didn't teach secrets. That's another thing. Noble Drew Ali came to reveal secrets. So when he was doing this stuff, he was revealing what was hidden. As far as dealing with Queen Mu, the brother brought it up, a mythical queen, right? I'm familiar with the history of Queen Mu, but there's something that goes beyond myth into reality, but because there was a continent that was known as Mu. And that's what I want to mention. The continent of Mu has to do with a relation of all of the 7 continents, when they were connected. And after there was a separation, then it was actually the continent of Mu that broke off, that sunk, off the coast of actually it was attached to Madagascar, and I got stuff to prove that. So we understand the history of Mu as opposed to, the myth, so to speak, the mythos. And mythos has to be based on legend and reality as well. So briefly, I want to cover a small portion here, and I'm gonna land my plane because the brother made a statement about the term Berber existing before the Moors. Sister Dot, will you allow me to share my screen one more time? And I want y'all to get this book when y'all get a chance.
Yeah.
This book, because I want y'all to know my sources when I'm quoting this, because y'all know I go way beyond Wikipedia. Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
I don't see anything sharing right now.
Oh, you don't see
you
anything
guys
sharing?
see it?
Okay, nobody don't see it sharing yet. Let me know. It might just be delayed.
Okay, it just came
no,
up.
but I think
Okay.
I popped it and then it popped back down.
So. Okay. So is it there now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you maximize the
enlarge
screen?
it?
Yeah.
Yes. I'll blow it up for you. And this is Inventing the Berbers, the history and ideology in the Maghreb. And for those who don't know what Maghreb is actually an Arabic word that means the West. Actually, Maghreb is actually referred to as the people too, in this modern time. So this is written by Ramsey Rogi. And this is a page from this book. This whole book talking about the same thing. Now listen to what it said. They're going to give you the origin on this name. I'm going to blow it up so you can see it. It says, if the early Arabic category did not quite much match the classical notion of barbarian, because that's what the word Berber means. So we got to be careful with this word Berber, barbarian. More scholars had to find a way of explaining how Berber came to refer to the peoples that inhabited the Maghreb, meaning the West. For Gabriel Camp's Berber became successful because it mapped onto a category that had broad usage and acceptance prior to the conquest. As he explained it, the Berbers of the Arabs, because the Arabs was the one that gave us that name, are the Moors of the Romans. And the Romans took that name from the Mari. And it says, according to this understanding, instead of conquering the Berbers, the Arabs conquered the Moors. Latin, Mari, because they adopted the word Mari into their language. Since Marus, and just called them by a new name. This new equation offers an elegant solution to the gap in evidence as Latin and Greek sources became scarce after the 6th century, and Arabic ones began to appear only in the 8th. In his excellent study of the Moors between the 4th century and the 7th, Yves Moderain This was the first person that actually went into the distinction of the words, thoroughly examined the use of the category in late antique sources. So he traced the words back. His goal was to determine the role of the populations named Moors, then Berbers, in evolution of Roman Africa in the 3 centuries preceding the Arab conquest, before the Arabs got there. See, that's why I told you it's for Islam. Noting the difficulties inherent in the use of Berber to analyze the pre-Islamic period, he commented on the scholarly practice of translating the word Moor as Berber. So the word Berber was not from Moor, brother. And Mari is the word that was used. He's not the only one said that. How do we know this? Because when we come here, this is the oldest source you can find in the English language. This is from the 1600s. And you see the word Moor is being referred to as Mar, Ethiops. And they even use the term Niger. It's still in the Latin language, right? This is the oldest thing. Ethiopia, Ethiop, more man. You see, this old sources that just barely made it into the English. And so when you go into India, good brother, the people that I was referring to there, it says the name that remains is Maru or Moor, Moray of Europe, Moor, they're showing you the etymological ties of Indian, the Jats, and the Mauryans of Ashoka. Ashoka is the one who was a Buddhist that renounced the world and established the Mauryan Empire. And the Mauryan Empire, when you look it up, they are referred to as Moors, family. So it says he famed significantly the Egyptians have put it on record that the people of Amaru, the Amorites, which the brother Darvis was referring to, came from the land of Jati, the land of the Guts, or Gutum, the ancient Sumerians, Babylonians, Syria. All of this, you know, and we can go on and on, but we're gonna stop right there. You know, I got sources upon sources, you know, to keep going into this, but it ain't necessary. I made my point. Go ahead, Queen.
Just to let everyone know, we're gonna end this. It's now 11:55. We're gonna probably do this about another 10-15 minutes. Okay. It's been a really good conversation. Peace to y'all who just dropped in. Please like the stream. We definitely appreciate it. So yeah, but I just wanted to reiterate something. Going back to my initial question, right? In terms of like the origins, the birthplace, if you will, of the Moors, right? And I had said that, you know, it seems like all of the references that a Moor will show, it always goes back to Africa, right? Mm-hmm. So in all of your, and even the sources that you just showed, for example, Commission, right? It points to Africa. It's not talking about the Americas. So would you agree that the origins of the Moors are African and not American? They're not indigenous to the Americas?
Well, what I would say, like I said, we indigenous to the planet. And to response, to give you clarity on that, what I will do is I would actually show you the Moors in America real quick.
But even a Mexum that you guys brought up, the Mexum, isn't that Northwest Africa? That's what.
Yes, that's the whole. That's a part.
Yeah, but this is Northwest Africa, the Queen.
Yeah, this is Northwest Africa. But
right. So this is
all
so
a part
it's using the term Africa.
No,
right?
no,
so
no, no.
Listen to what I'm saying,
Dulcinea.
Thank you, Dulcie.
But didn't Africa come in at a certain time? That
Sister
term?
Dulcinea, you remember if you read the 101, Noble Drew Ali say what is the modern name of the ancient Moabites, and the term Africa is used because he's showing you the affiliation that they're using. So we're not saying Africa in the context that people think, because the Moors named the continent Akibalon. And the word Akibalon
goes say Akibalon.
So would this have been Akibalon on this side?
Yes, yes. All of it together would have been a part of it. So we say Northwest of Mexum. We're actually referring to everything.
Did you want this up or you wanted it out? You didn't want it up?
Yeah,
I got done.
I got. Oh, so you see my screen?
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know you were sharing it. I was going to ask you because I wanted to show our sister Dots the Moors as they were here in America.
Well, Commission gonna come back and do a second part for us because we only got like 10 minutes left. So
yeah.
And can I just
wanted to show her
before we go to once he done?
Yeah, I'm just gonna show her a brief picture of those who were here called Moors in the West. And then I'm gonna stand down. I'm just gonna show her these things, and y'all do the research on it. You know, in fact, right here, you see this here in this South Carolina picture right here, right?
I like that way.
It says right here, this is in the law of the United States, right? Where they were referring to the term Negro as it was confined to slave Africans, right? And what they call ancient Berbers and their descendants, right? They said it does not embrace the free inhabitants of Africa, such as the Egyptians, Moors,
And that's
or
the
the Negroes.
1700s, correct?
Listen, this is from 1740 in the law of South Carolina.
Right.
So I'm showing her references to the word, you know, dealing with the Moors over here in law, right? So now George Washington, right here, he explained why we going through what we going through right now. And this was in Philadelphia, 1744. He said, if we would agree to take the fezzes and the turbans off of the Moors' heads and remove the sandals from their feet and enforce severe punishments and also swear a death oath between ourselves to religiously and faithfully not allow anyone to teach the Moorish children who they really were or their forefathers were, and only allow the Moorish children to be taught that they were truly Negroes, black people, and colored folks. 200 years from the day the Moorish people would not know their nationality, nor the national name of their forefathers, and also would not know from which land or ancestors they are descended from. And, you know, so these are just different pictures. Our sister was asking us, Sister Dulcinea, was asking us questions about certain influences. So there are a lot of different influences from certain. That's Ashoka right there. Look that up on y'all own time, the Mauryan Empire. And I'm finna shut it down at this particular point. I just wanted to show y'all a few pictures.
I do want you to
The
come
Meru
back.
Kushites of India.
I want to talk to you about
You
this.
see them with the fez on? You see me right here, right? This is where I got the Khmer, right? And I was tracing. It's crazy how close, you know, looking at the phenotypes of these people that's a part of my DNA. Look at the jawline of this brother and look at the jawline right here. You see the rounding off?
Old Sankofa that used to be on Sinettas years ago.
So you can see.
Listen, but you know what, Commission? That's sort of like lookership. We can't say, well, look at the features.
Well, no.
That right here proves. I mean, because really and truly.
What I'm saying is, I looked up my DNA.
Look at that picture. I guess somebody can look at that picture and say, well, no, actually, that actually looks like a Chinese person or Asian person.
What I'm saying is this. I'm not giving a lookership. I'm saying when they gave me my markers in DNA, I went to look for the people to say, well, who are these people? And I just pulled up images and I seen certain resemblances. I'm not saying, okay, yeah, this is one for one comparison. All I did is took what was in my DNA and went to the people, just like this woman and my mother. Like this woman and my mother. Undeniably. Coming from this Moabitis right here, you can see the exact comparison and see the phenotype that's similar to my mother. Undeniably, right? Yeah. And it's more that I went through, but like I said, I won't go over it all here.
Beautiful. You look just like your mama.
Okay, well, to be fair,
my father.
You notice how she looked at the Statue of Liberty?
You would say I look like my father as well. Islam.
Commission, to be fair, just because of time, Cosman said he wanted to jump in, and this will be his last point. We can each go around and say our last remarks just for time purposes. Okay, because it's after midnight.
Yeah, I know it's just been 2 minutes, but I'm sorry about that. Go ahead, sister. Let him come forward.
Yeah, and then we can have you back on just for your show, Commission. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Shout out to the brother Commission, man. You need to come on the channel sometimes and do a build too, man. Y'all go over there to Cosmon Cal, sub, like, share. Quick question. You said your homeboy daddy found the Nina Pinta and the Santa Maria.
Basically Kane Fisher, the world treasure hunter, that's who found that. And his son, Mel Fisher is the father, Kane Fisher is the one that I met. They actually set him up and locked him up. They got a movie about him. They killed his brother, man, about maritime law, because they were trying to take that stuff from him, that gold. And they found a lot of gold. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, because it says, the physical remains of Christopher Columbus ships, the La Pinta, are lost to history more than 500 years after it first its first transatlantic voyage. So I was wondering, where are these ships? And have you seen personally, have you seen the replicas in like the slave museum or anything like that?
I didn't say he found the actual ships. I say he found relics from the ships. But what they have done here, where I'm from, brother, off the coast of what we call St. Mark's, they have rebuilt a replica of that ship. Those relics come from that, and they actually have the tags on it that they came from those ships. So look up Mel Fisher, and then look up the ships that I referenced, and you'll see the shackles and everything they found.
Yeah, I've seen them. They got some off Spain, and then they got a replica down there in Florida.
That's right, and they sell it up here by me, like 30 miles up from me. I worked on
that one is actually 15 feet longer than the original.
Yeah,
The
I worked
original
on the light tower too, bro.
feet, and it's a single deck. So I was wondering, okay. All right, we're gonna go. Okay, are you aware? I'll just move on to be quick. Are you aware that Menelik II, the king of Ethiopia, and also Haile Selassie, the emperor of Egypt himself, king, said that they were Caucasoids also?
Good brother. Good brother. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You know, I know that Haile Selassie family consists of two people, the Sephardims and the Philocians, and also Muslims. So when you say Caucasian, you know, I just proved earlier that the word Caucasian was originated later. You see what I'm saying? So I don't get where you're getting at with that question.
No. I'm just saying in the late 1800s, early 1900s, these melanated men, right, rulers of the country, are calling themselves Caucasian. That kind of hints to, and this is in the 1900s. You dig what I'm saying? My thing is, we already know that Caucasoid and hence white has nothing to do with skin color.
That's right. I can go.
You know
for
what
that.
I mean? We understand. We understand that. I was just asking you, were you aware that Haile Selassie Menelik II called themselves Caucasoid?
I'm aware that the original inhabitants of what we call the so-called Caucasus Mountains, I'm aware that they was of dark hue.
Exactly.
So you know, I'm aware of that. They went into that region. So we're not against that. You know, we're just saying the use of the term because it actually comes from Hyksos, brother, to be honest with you. That's the same root that go back to Hyksos. But that's a whole nother measure. That's a whole nother story. Go ahead, brother.
You talking about Hyksos?
That's right. That's exactly where the name Caucasus come from. And that's why the Caucasus Mountain is right there by Avaris, which is known as Lower Egypt. They call it looked like it's what North Africa would be, but they still call it Lower Egypt. Because if you flip it upside down, the map will be more in accord with the Kublai map. Then you can see what they're referring to. So we know what they're talking about, and that's what I'm saying. We are indigenous to the planet. We was the original people in Europe. We was the original people right here. We was the original people. I'm saying dark melanated people were. You see what I'm saying? We were all over the planet. Go ahead.
I get the pan aboriginal. And I don't necessarily disagree that at one time, you know, or everybody is aboriginal to where they come from.
That's right.
You know what I mean? I'm not disagreeing with that.
That's right.
But what I'm disagreeing with is, first of all, the root of Moor comes from, you know, the area we would call Africa in the Middle East. I'm glad that you admitted that. You did what I'm talking about there, or you know, where we know this word to come from today, where we know it to come from today, right?
So far,
so far, and the connection, you know, is tenuous both ways, from it coming to America all the way there, and from y'all bringing it here, purportedly during slavery or colonization. Either way, it's not good. So I'm kind of glad we got to chop that up and bring that out. You did what I'm talking about. I didn't want to just bash at you, and you know what I mean, and point fingers and point, and you know what I mean.
Well, you ain't bashing me, brother. Because again, I don't say that it came through slavery and colonization. I'm just telling you the origins of the word can be traced back to Sumeria. It can be traced back to India, and it can be traced back to Kemet, unlike these other words that we have adopted in the modern time. So that doesn't change what I'm saying. The word Moor and the people Moor, the word can be traced from there and cross over here as well as the people. The first Moor was found in Mexico.
Okay, quick question.
Before
can you tell
Columbus
today, is there a way today to tell the difference between a Moor and an Aboriginal?
There is no difference between a Moor and an Aboriginal. You know the difference is?
It's like the difference between you and your daddy.
The difference is the difference that we are making. Because the name Abo, who was using that name before it was used over here? The name Yabo was used by the same people I referred to earlier. The Syra people called the first man Yabo, the original man. And they are in Africa. This is where the Moors were taken from. This is where the Demarco Moors were. So they refer to in the teaching of the Syra people, and their teachings come from Kemet. They use the term Yabo or Abo for the first man. And I get into that when I do a presentation.
I don't think Aboriginal and Yabo got anything to do with each other. But
yes, Abo is a root that goes back to the word Yabo and Abo.
Well, Ab is a prefix. Ab means to be from or descent.
Of course, it means it means father in certain languages.
Yes, sir. It can't or ba.
Right. So we have more in connection. See, I don't argue the thing by Abos against Moors and Moors against Abos. I'm telling you that they're the same people. Whether y'all
exactly, man, I'm trying to get that across for the longest.
Or not, but y'all arguing, trying to think we trying to overthrow Abo. I'm saying we the same people, but y'all don't want to accept that. But I respect.
No, I don't think it's that. I think respectfully, it doesn't mean much when everyone is. It's not everyone, but you're saying that there's Moors in India, there's Moors in Europe, there's Moors in Asia, there's Moors there's nothing that makes people distinctive, but every other place has that. They have what makes them distinctive. They're not America, or they're not Africa. They're India. They're not Africa. They're Zimbabwean. They're Kenyan. They have distinct
nationalities, cultures,
nations, tribes.
Yeah, but
is who they are.
And
the Moorish
yeah, but the question is, do the term Moor outdate those terms?
I don't think so.
That is confusing.
The word Moor is our distinction, sister. But
and it outdates all those other little terms we use.
But could it be the Moor is your distinction?
People
remember, you're saying that there was a people already here.
Yes, sir.
No. We calm.
Yeah, but Cosm, the problem is that people don't want to accept based the way they have been taught. See, they think when we say Moor, we trying to push religion on you. And see, that nothing can be further from the truth. You understand? When we say Moor, we're speaking specifically of a name that attach you to the land. Just like when you go into the
But it attaches you to earth, right? Not America.
It attaches you to the whole of the land.
Exactly.
The whole listen to me. It not only attached you to the earth, but it was used by various people who took this name in various different regions, which is bigger than if we say Kenya. Kenya is only confined to Kenya. Congo is confined to Congo. Every other name of these other people is confined there, but the name Moor is the only name that universally can be found amongst all of these cultures. And that's something to be considered. You see that
the whole world, Craig,
areas were calling themselves this. It ain't strange. That's all I'm trying to say. Now whether one accept that, that's a whole nother measure. And if George Washington was defending somebody and he said that my client is not a Negro and he is a Moor, and that's in case law, like I just showed you what George Washington said. They told you what they did. Stop calling them that and they ain't gonna know who they is. And that's what we're dealing with right now on this panel, unfortunately.
I have a question with that. I guess I want to know also how has that worked out for Moors in the 21st century, right? So
I'm glad you asked that, Doc.
yeah, I want to know how that has worked out. I know we hear a lot of stories
Mhm.
about, people being successful or not being successful when it comes to court and claiming their Moorish nationality or identity. So how has that worked out
Okay.
for those who are claiming to be a Moor?
I'm glad you asked that,
And a
Queen.
quick answer, because I know we want to shut
Yeah,
this down.
yeah, I got you. I got you. I'm gonna say this briefly and to the point. It ain't an aspect of it working out by you calling yourself a name, right? It's us coming together on the one affiliation that attaches itself to this land, and that's where the power comes from. So as far as people going into the courts and all that, right there, Noble Drew Ali never taught that. That's not Islam. That's not the Moorish way. We don't challenge the jurisdiction of the European. Because if you ain't there with a whole nation of people, then you can say whatever you want to say. But what happened to this European when he put his gun in your mouth? Ain't nobody there with you. You by yourself. So we can say that we are who we are, but until we come together as a collective, and embrace that term, we will always be treated as property. So I give honors to you, Queen, for the question.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And like Dosey said, it's not so much about an argument, because we're not arguing back and forth at whatsoever. It's just for more clarity. I think that a person's identity, for example, is, or their birthright is their royalty, is their inheritance. You understand? And so it sounds like at the end of this conversation is just like saying that you're Moor is akin to somebody lumping everyone with melanin together and calling them black. Where's the distinction? You understand? Because that is important. It is that distinction, right? So when you mentioned you doing your DNA, for example, right? Like I haven't taken a DNA test. I'm not necessarily interested in doing that, right? But it's only really through there that a person, an individual can say, no, this is where my people is from. No, this is where my land is, right? And I can prove that by documentation. But if I'm just calling myself a Moor, that is such a general term. It's just like calling someone black. It gives there's nothing special, in my opinion, about that. Because like you said, it sounds like anybody can be a Moor. Anybody, a Hindu person in India is a Moor, a Chinese person is a Moor, a Mongolian person is a Moor. Where's the distinction? And that's why my question, I know I kept repeating myself about the origins of a Moor, right? And how does one trace where's the proof? How can you trace your bloodline to say, yes, I am a Moor? You can't. It just sounds like because I have melanin, I'm a Moor. It's not specific enough. There's no distinction in it.
Because we trying to break things down like that, Queen. If your mother was a Moor and your grandmother was a Moor, your great grandmother was a Moor, and they traveled different places,
But they
and
not.
they had other kids in those different lands, Queen, where they been at. That not make them still related?
Right.
What I'm saying is this, right? If we knock down these fences that divide us from the rest of humanity, we realize we're the same people on different lands. It was
No,
a
because
flood. If you live beside your grandmama and a flood happened and there's a ditch that flooded out between you and your grandmama house, would that not make you still the same people?
Right. And
So
you
we're the
would be
same people.
no, but Darvis, a person would be able to prove that through their
Yeah.
genealogy. I
That's
know the
why there's
name.
tribes.
So
And that's why we
right.
break it down to
That's why
tribes.
no, you did not break down the tribes. In fact, you didn't
No, I'm
even
saying
mention any tribes.
that's why we break our identity down into tribes. But
Right.
we
You wanted
all
to be
still the
specific.
same people. Whether you in Europe, whether you in Africa, whether you in Asia,
What it sounds
Australia,
like
Crazy.
I don't
it just,
understand.
the
Okay, but
same
can we
family
do
mean,
second
populated the whole
part?
earth.
Part two, Friday or something. We can do
Not
part
Friday,
two.
man.
Well,
Not
we
Friday.
got
I can't do
we
it
can't
Friday.
come on commission. We can probably try to do Friday or Saturday with commission and Darvis if you'd like to come over. But I'd like to ask some questions about the Masons and how they involved in all this because That ain't
All
what I
right
know
now.
about the Masons. I don't know
All
that about
right
the
now,
Masons.
Sister Freedom.
I
Yeah,
don't know
they're
that about
they're
the
very
the
much in.
stars, the Masons, the shrines. I don't know that about them.
I'm gonna go and put
Yeah,
it out there, man.
they're
I'm,
very much
I'm gonna go
involved
in the
in this,
Mason.
and I actually have a picture of the Meshe stele. We weren't able to get into the archaeology and different things that have been claimed over time, but we definitely should look into like the people that are claiming it as well. You know, so you can kind of see who these people are that say they found these things and what it means.
That's right.
Exactly. We got to find out who are these so-called archaeologists.
Lord.
Are
Most of
you
the
sisters?
archaeologists wasn't even on Earth during these times.
Are you sisters familiar with Angelo Solomon?
Mm-mm. I'm not.
Well, he is known as the father of pure Masonic thought. And Angelo Solomon was
But
brought
I
over
don't
here
want
as a
you to do it
slave.
now. I wanted you to do it Friday or
Yeah,
Saturday.
well, I ain't gonna go into it. I was just trying to, ask them were they familiar with it. I ain't gonna go into everything, but just look him up, and then y'all will be ready when we come forward. We'll get into that.
Well, could y'all tell me who are not Moors, please?
Yeah.
When we get into that
Right.
Friday or Saturday.
Everybody's a
Only
damn
person I
range.
know that's not a Moor is Dosey right now.
Oh my
If he
God.
left home, everybody
He
else in
just,
the world is a Moor.
yeah, he just
But
being
that's not an
humorous.
insult, Darvis.
I'm
You
just
just
playing
put
with
out
y'all
words.
now.
Just
I'm
being
That
bullshitting
is
humorous.
now.
not an
About
insult.
Dulcie is a
That
That
is
is
Yeah,
not
not
an
an
insult.
insult,
Thank
Darvis.
you.
Dosey
yeah.
That
Okay,
is
Darvis,
making
not
sure
you
we
an
don't take it the
insult.
wrong way.
Dosey
no,
That is not an
actually was
he
insult.
didn't
That's a
get
frontline
it,
for the
Dosey.
Moors
compliment.
for a long
Thank
time.
you.
He didn't get the joke. He
Dulcie
I
didn't get the
straight
joke.
up
appreciate it.
creation. She's
Yeah,
original.
Dosey was on the
She's
front line for
creation
the Moors for a
itself.
long time. And she took a lot of flack for it. So honest to all
Well,
And
y'all.
word, but she ended up
listen,
leaving. She found herself a. I'm not gonna get into that. I'll tease her later
Yeah,
on.
that you're gonna get kicked off the panel. You talking
Exactly.
crazy.
TMI. I don't want to know no part of
we're
nobody
going to
business.
jump
You
you,
hear me?
Darvis.
Yeah, she's not a Moor, but she's descended from Moors.
All
I
right,
I
so
haven't found where,
On the
Darvis,
chat,
we
but
whatever.
I'm waiting for
Darvis
you
was
to
I
help
vague
me
enough.
find it.
find
It's like that. It's
it.
like that
Darvis,
African on a slave boat. We still
hold
waiting on it.
God.
Darvis was begging. Y'all didn't hear the conversation. Darvis was begging us on the phone to
Freedom
go
is
easy
trying
on
to
him.
end
He
this.
was like,
No, that's
please
not what
don't
I
No,
be
was
they
too
saying.
didn't.
I was
hard.
trying to say no. This is what I was saying, right?
Please,
Because
please
What
don't
you
I
say,
please
could.
Nick?
don't be too hard on me.
I No, that's
Darvis
not what
was
I'm saying.
begging
Because
us.
listen, I got love for the panel and all that, and I got love for y'all as queens. And I do not want to get in an argument thing. That's why I said
No,
I uploaded a lot of belly blows to keep people
No, you
off me. And
haven't,
hopefully
Darvis.
I didn't
No,
have to
you
use
have
it.
not.
Because they would listen, Queen, there's a lot of dirty shit I uploaded. I put in the cut to make sure this case
Darvis,
it would seem because it seemed like a setup to me now. Y'all called me like 30 minutes before
Darvis,
y'all went live. Y'all listen, we want to
whatever,
interview. And
whatever.
listen, that's Queen. And I didn't say y'all had bad
But
intentions.
you know what?
I'm
We
not
kept
saying
our
that. I'm
word.
just saying, but it seemed I was kind of paranoid. I put that on me because it was
Darvis,
odd.
we kept our word, right? We
Yeah, you
went
did,
easy.
and you did that,
We
and you
kept
did
our
that,
word.
Queen,
We
and you
kept our
did that,
word.
Queen.
we
You
didn't
said
even
that,
ask
and you
about
did
the
that, and you kept your word.
We
I was
kept
just
our
There's
word.
many
paranoid
things
because I'm
that
like, damn,
we're talking
I'd
about.
have blew the
Keep
boy called
paranoid.
me. Yeah, I was paranoid because I'd have
You,
blew that. Y'all called me. I ain't
yeah,
never heard from
man.
none of y'all on the phone in my whole life.
You
And
a
when y'all
lie.
That's
called
oh
me, I
my
was like,
God,
oh shit.
everybody said that Doris said
You are a
quite a
lie.
few times. Me and Dulcie said. Oh my God.
Hey, listen, man, ain't nothing but love, though, man.
Don't believe him
Word, I
though.
fuck with y'all, boy. Really, I real do fuck with y'all,
Oh
boy,
my
man. Real
God.
talk.
Terrible. Really
And
terrible.
L
Please, Sister
in the
Freedom.
chat. Does anybody know
L
L
said
in the
all
chat?
that in the chat and ain't come up on the panel at all.
Right.
And
We need
Queen was
next
10
time,
times on.
L. All
Yes.
that you was really popping it in the chat. I dropped the link. Freedom dropped the link so many times. Next time we go live, we would love for you to hit the link, come up, and have a conversation with us because you sure was popping it in the chat, boy. I was like, look at him or her. I don't know if you're male or female, but we see you. We see you. Hit the link.
Wouldn't it be Ella?
Wait a
The
minute,
link.
girly girl. Who was that said that OTK already admitted on Topcats that Darvis is the only Moor in the family?
Yeah, listen. Like I said, man, listen.
Darvis
OTK
is
is my
not
cousin. That's my blood. And I fucks with him. That's my people. I mean, but
God,
Oh my
Darvis.
God.
Come
I will
on.
say this. I still deal with the Moor thing. He haven't got that far. I actually didn't get that far yet. I don't want to sound crazy, but think about it. The people that signed the Sundry Free Moor Act had the same last name as him.
But somebody had the
Anyway,
nerve to say
if,
that America,
if
America
y'all
means
understood what the
more
hell
brown.
Darvis just said, let me know.
So
The
All
finally, we
right,
people that signed the
we're
Sundry Free
closing this
Moor
down.
Act
because
We're
was
closing
a
this down.
picnic.
oh my God, tomorrow I'll be calling you tomorrow, Commissioner, to find out if you want to do this Friday or Saturday. Okay. Because I
Okay.
got some
All is
questions
well. And honest to you queens on the
concerning the
panel, man.
Masons
Dots,
and stuff.
Nisha,
I
all
got
y'all, Dulcinea.
We appreciate you, Commission.
really do. We've been calling
Thanks
you
for
and you've
coming
been
up.
ignoring us.
Man, I've been, when I tell y'all I got so much work on me right now, it's crazy. And I'm trying to find me some people to do some of it for me. I knew they were going to wait till the last minute. and
Commission, we
finally-
need you to lay us a track for real. Like we
I know
need
that's
you.
right.
We
Oh
need
yeah,
you.
y'all must have heard the other track I did recently.
Yeah, we need you to
Hey, Commissioner, next month I will be coming down to Florida. I got a goddamn little contractor down there.
Words out. That's what's
Here
trying
we
to say
go.
something to Commission.
I
I'm gonna go in the
apologize.
lab for y'all. I'm gonna go in the lab for y'all to
don't
make
mean it,
something nice.
We
I
would appreciate
apologize.
it.
My bad.
You don't mean it, Darvis. Stop.
Yeah, I do mean it. Real talk, I do mean it, man. But see, listen, when we first started,
Oh my God.
I had just bought my liquor.
Oh my goodness, girl.
I'm drinking now, dog. So I mean, I may say some things I don't really mean. I ain't mean it like that, Queen.
Wait a minute, girly girl
But-
said flaming dragon. Leave us alone.
Oh, yeah. He wants me to watch that video. I don't know what video it is. Okay, but you know what? I gave him my word. I'm gonna watch it. Lord Jesus, every gosh darn show he reminds me. I'm gonna watch it, Flaming. Thank you, girly.
But Commission,
You
we
wanna
need
close us
that
out?
there,
Can you
right
close us
there.
out, baby?
We need you to put something down for us. We're not playing.
I
Stop playing,
will.
Commission.
I'm gonna go
All
in
right,
the lab for
Freedom.
y'all.
Freedom,
Yes,
close us
baby.
out.
Okay,
Close
we're
us
gonna
out,
close
please.
out. I'm almost okay. All right. Good night, everybody. Sleep tight, and please don't let them bed bugs bite.
Oh my gosh.
Good.
You have
Bye.
bed bugs. You're not invited to my
You
home.
know she old
Okay.
school. That's what my mama used to tell me.
Hey, love, life, balance, sisters. Another great show. Hey, Commission, man. We need to chop
Peace,
it
brother.
up, bro. I'm gonna drop my number in the back, man. You holler at me. I'm Cosmo, by the
Everybody
way.
love Commission.
Yeah, I know you, brother. Yeah, we can build.
I'm gonna end the show
My
so
man.
somebody can get some sleep tonight. Good mugga.
Yes. All
Peace
right,
and
thank
love.
you
I'm gonna drop my
guys.
number in the back.
Did you drop it? Hurry up.
Hold on 1 second, sis.
Okay.
Let me go back.
You can
Good night,
close out the show.
and Lolita.
You can close. It won't
and
stop the
Sakina.
private chat.
I can close.
Yeah, you can
Yes.
close out the show.
Okay,
It
good night,
doesn't shut
everybody.
the private chat.
Pray for
Bye,
positive energy.
Good
And
night.
vote
Bye,
for
y'all.
Kamala Harris. Got it out.
Oh.